What's up, people? It is JV Wins. It is Dogon SS. We are back once again with another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thanks to everybody out there for tuning in, however and wherever you're checking us out, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Amazon Podcast. We certainly appreciate you joining us along for the ride. If you have not, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, add it to your playlist wherever you get your podcast, because we are available in those areas as well. Also, for anybody who has not done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video as we continue to kick out that logical content. We certainly appreciate everybody for the support. Let us know where you think we went right. Let us know where you think we went wrong. We are here for all the smoke. So shouts out to the Conscious Approach community as we continue to grow this little thing out. Now, we're going to go ahead and get right into it tonight. We got some interesting things to kick it with. First thing that we are going to discuss are interesting comments made by actor Djimon Hounsou. Now, this guy's actually been in a lot of stuff for anybody who frequently watches movies. You know, off the top of my head, he was in Blood Diamond, one of my favorite movies. Gladiator, I think, was probably the first movie I remember watching him in. But like I said, he's also been in Blood Diamond. He was in A Quiet Place. I think he was in both A Quiet Place Part 2, as well as the new one that they put out, like the prequel movie, A Quiet Place, the newest one that came out, where it tells the story about how the monsters got here. I think he was in The Island. He's been in Guardians of the Galaxy. So this guy's been in a lot of movies. But recently he made waves for talking about how, despite the amount of movies he's been in, and despite the fact that he's been nominated for like several awards, prestigious awards in the past, he struggles financially as an actor. As a working actor, he struggles financially for work. Now, he cites systemic racism as the reason for why this is the case. Be that as it may, he says that he is struggling to make a living as an actor, which is kind of strange considering his supposed stature and achievement. You rarely see actors who have been nominated for Oscars and stuff talk about how they struggle financially. But here is an actor talking about this. So this says, Djimon Hounsou says he's struggling to make a living as an actor. Djimon Hounsou has revealed that after decades of being an actor in Hollywood, he's still struggling financially. Hounsou recently sat down with CNN Africa and spoke about what he's experienced in the film industry, from struggles to systemic racism. I'm still struggling to make a living, he said. I've been in the filmmaking business for over 2 decades with 2 Oscar nominations and many blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially. I'm definitely underpaid. I was nominated for the Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars because they thought that I had just come off the boat in the streets. Even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor to whom they should pay any respect. So this conceptual idea of diversity still has a long way to go. Systemic racism won't change like that anytime soon. Back in 2023, Hounsou expressed his frustration with being overlooked in Hollywood and how it has impacted him and his finances. I'm still struggling to try to make a dollar, he revealed to The Guardian at the time. I've come up in the business with some people who are absolutely well off and have very little of my accolades. So I feel cheated, tremendously cheated in terms of finances and in terms of the workload as well. I've gone to studios for meetings and they're like, wow, we felt like you just got off the boat and then went back. We didn't know you were here as a true actor. When you hear things like that, you can see that some people's vision of you or what you represent is very limiting, but it is what it is. It's up to me to redeem that. When asked how he felt about that previous comment in a later cover story, Hounsou expressed that nothing had changed for him since he shared his thoughts. I've been able to sustain a career, and I think that's something to highlight and acknowledge, even with whatever I feel is lacking. So here is what Hounsou said himself.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living after 30 years in this business?
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
How has Hollywood changed in terms of African representation in what you see since you started out to what's being produced now?
I was nominated for a Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars, talking about the fact that they thought that I just came off the boat and off the streets. Even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon.
Growing up, you're one of the first big Black actors I saw in big budget films. So it's mind-boggling to me.
But that's a sign for you that systemic racism is not something that you can deal with lightly. You have to cope with it and survive the best way you can.
All right, so there you go. So, like I said, he's been in a lot of big movies. These days when it comes to movies that make money, it doesn't get much bigger than those Marvel movies, and he's been in a couple of Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think he was also in Captain Marvel, playing the same character. So, whether it's a big movie role or a small role, he's been in a lot of stuff. He has a lot of skin in the game, and he's been nominated for a lot of these trophies that people care so much about. And despite all of that, he is a struggling actor financially. What do you think of that? He cites systemic racism as the primary reason for this, but what do you think about what he had to say?
Well, I would say that this is not that uncommon. I hear this quite a bit from actors. That's why they they act like they putting out mixtapes. I thought there was big deals that these people were getting, but I guess if you're not the Will Smiths, the Tom Cruises, okay, what's that, Christian Bales, you're not going to get those big time dollars. You're going to be relegated if you're just one of the regular cast members that is still solid enough for them to throw into the trailers or other things, or to cite their name in a commercial. But you're still just a supporting actor. Apparently these people don't get paid much. So I'm not too surprised by that, unfortunately. We covered your boy Terrence Howard when he was talking about his acting and how much he got paid for Hustle and Flow, which in many circles is an African American classic. So, but yet and still, he didn't get paid much for that. A lot of people didn't get paid at all that much. I mean, people got paid, but they didn't get paid much for Friday and other films. Now, these are small budget films. Now, these aren't grandiose types of things, but it speaks to the nature of how these things work, even though these are in everybody's home and they're dusty DVD collections. They still serve, as classics for these people. But at the same time, those checks weren't really cut that much. And apparently it doesn't really, the residuals, depending on how their contract was set up, doesn't really roll in like syndicated television like I thought it did. I thought that these people, because they signed a deal and whatever, and whatever movie is a classic, they'll still be getting checks in the mail, which they probably do, but they're probably got cut checks like recording albums where they're getting pennies for X amount of spins. So yeah, these guys are just fodder, just like the music industry. So I'm not surprised that unfortunately that somebody how you say his name?
Djimon. So the D is silent. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Djimon. Yeah, I remember him from Amistad. That was his breakout role.
Yeah.
And yeah, as far as I don't know if this was Oprah or something back in the day, but yeah, I thought they did grab bruh just straight out of the, I thought he was I thought they just found him, and I think that I guess what he was saying was, even though that did happen, I guess that stigma has stuck on him that you're not a real actor, you didn't come up in any academies or anything like that, so we're not going to hold you to these high esteems like these other people. So, which sucks for him that he got somewhat typecast in his career, because every role I've seen him, man, he seems to be holding it down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's just unfortunate. But I treat this no different than the music industry. And these people, they gotta do something with these checks, other than have expensive houses and expensive utility bills. Because I know these people be living, but I don't know. But apparently they have to live like a college professor instead of a Hollywood socialite. But what are your thoughts, man, on Djimon? My bad, bro. On Amistad out here struggling, man. What are your thoughts, bro?
Djimon.
My bad,
Djimon Hounsou. Yeah, the first, Amistad precedes Gladiator, but the first movie I saw him in was Gladiator. And that was back in 2000, so we're talking 25 years ago at this point, 24, almost 25 years, depending on the month that Gladiator came out. And it's even more if you consider Amistad, which I think came out in like 1997. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he has significant skin in the game. I hear his frustration. And I also think that, if you want to throw racism out there, you can. I think when you're dealing with America, particularly in the West, everything is because of systemic racism. Literally everything. Like literally everything. I live in the house that I live in right now because of systemic racism. I make the money I make right now because of systemic racism. You drive the car you drive right now because of systemic racism. All my friends have the various jobs that they have because literally everything in this society is due to systemic racism. So if you want to play that card, you can, but it's kind of ubiquitous. It's almost responsible for everything. So as far as I can tell, it's seemingly low-hanging fruit. I hear his frustration though, and I get his frustration, but I think, we talked about this whenever we mentioned various other topics. I mentioned how we are slowly but surely reaching a point where new and emerging economies are going to come in and overtake traditional pre-existing economies. And when that happens, unless you are one of these older traditional economies that has been a mainstay and you've been able to stay at the top for a long time, and so you'll be able to stay there because of how long you've established yourself, unless you're involved in something like this, it's going to be very hard for you to sustain yourself once these new and emerging markets fully set themselves in stone. So think about it like real estate, for example. Real estate is an industry that's been around for forever. But once these new and emerging markets come in, these technology, everything is technology, robotics, AI, data analytics, and cybersecurity. Unless you're a part of some giant real estate firm that's been around for 50, 60, 70 years, and so they're not going to go anywhere because essentially within that industry, they're too big to fail, you're exposed and you're at risk for basically succumbing to what the world is turning into, which is complete automation, and ultimately you're liable for being replaced because you're simply not needed anymore. So whether it's construction, real estate, retail, for sure retail, transportation services, you're a driver pretty soon, cars are going to be driving themselves. Like once all of these new economies really settle in, it's a wrap for a lot of the old guard in terms of different economies and stuff. And I used to think that brick and mortar was the only thing that was at risk of being eradicated. But now it's becoming clear to me that even the entertainment industry is a part of that too, which is why I think there, during the writer's strike and the actor's strike, I think that was last year, or was it 2023? The entertainment industry was fighting for the right to be able to have working actors and writers and artists continuing to work and not have these studios and these bigwigs and these corporations conveniently find ways to replace them with automation, making AI commercials and creating an AI music and AI rappers like FN Mecca. The more we see a lot of this stuff, the less we're going to see actual people contributing to these various disciplines. And I think for an individual such as Mr. Hounsou, he is unfortunately not, to use a name that you referenced earlier, Tom Cruise, who is a business unto himself. Within the entertainment industry, what I am seeing is Tom Cruise is essentially too big to fail. He is his own business. He produces his own movies. He finances his own movies. His movies make $1 billion, and then he makes all of the money, right? There's very few actors who are in that position, but there are those who are in that position. They're going to be around regardless of the facelift that the entertainment industry undergoes. But for the vast majority of a lot of these actors, they're going to have to come up with a plan B, I feel. Will they no longer be able to find work or sustain themselves as actors financially? No, perhaps it won't get to that extreme yet. But I do feel like we're looking at a situation where it's not as viable as it used to be. They're not going to be making as much money as they used to be. I mean, look at the viewing habits of the modern day consumer. People don't even really watch movies like that anymore.
I don't. Not
the way they used to. Like, I might go to a movie theater to watch a movie once a year at this point. Once a year. 365 days a year, maybe once in that year, I go to watch a movie. People ain't into movies like that. So what do you think is going to happen to the economy of the business? And therefore, what do you think is going to happen to the people trying to make money in this economy? I don't really know how this stuff works, but I cannot imagine that an actor who makes money in a film is earning what they used to earn when the movies used to go to the theaters for 3 months in this day and age when they go straight to Netflix. Like, I don't know the science or the metrics behind it, but intrinsically, I feel like they can't be making the same amount of money if your movie's going straight to streaming, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu. So I'm telling you, man, I give it about 20 years, maybe. But these new and emerging economies are going to commandeer a lot of traditional economies and marketplaces. And it is going to, at that point, commandeer a lot of the people who practice in these areas. Even if you're an established actor, unless you're, like you said, Will Smith, Tom Cruise level, or you've been doing it for so long that you were able to eat when that particular industry was at its apex, you're liable. You're liable. And that ain't just brick and mortar. So that ain't just if you're a driver, if you work retail, if you're a cashier, if you work in real estate, if you're an attorney, it's also everything in between. Artists, musicians, actors, rappers, all of y'all, everybody's going to get screwed unless you have the wherewithal to be able to smartfully capitalize in a creative way on emerging markets so that you can be viable and not be cast away. And I think that he's a part of that. And so, yeah, if you want to throw the R word in there to explain why you're going through this, that's fine. But in 2024, the music business, the entertainment industry ain't what it used to be. So, that wealth gap, man, is going to be crazy out here. And unless you figure out a way to be on the other side of that, when it comes to this technology, robot, AI, automation stuff, you're susceptible. And unless you're a trust fund baby or you inherit something or you're just so long standing with one of these traditional markets that you're not going to go anywhere, you're susceptible. And I think a lot of these actors, apparently himself included, are susceptible. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff plays out in the future. But I think all industries everywhere are on the cusp of an existential crisis when it comes to how they are going to survive as new and emerging markets take over. And actors are no different.
You know, I saw something today, I want to say, on Forbes. It was saying that, you know, it's going to be projected that 200,000 people on Wall Street going to be losing work due to automation. And then I got to thinking, I was like, well, damn, man, the walls are closing in, bro. Like the walls are closing in. Why not? I mean, the only thing they do is crunch numbers, and that's what AI does magnificently. So, you know, why have these people just, you know, taking up all the money when you could just plug it in a damn program, and it's gonna crush all of that.
Bro,
So,
the first thing to go is labor.
mhm.
That's the first thing to go. In any industry, automation, the first thing to go is labor because that's the greatest expense. So these corporations are salivating for the opportunity to get rid of as much labor as possible. They can't wait to do it. And no one gives a damn where these people are going to go or what they're going to be doing. That's on you to figure that out. But they cannot, they are chomping at the bit. They are ejaculating at the mere thought. Bro, these CEOs and these board of directors and these shareholders of these corporations and these companies, they are having arousing thoughts of what they are going to be able to do once they are able to eliminate all of the labor that they want to eliminate. And when it comes to the entertainment industry, as prestigious as fans may look upon actors to be, they are nevertheless laborers when it comes to the making of the movies. They're labor.
Yeah, man. And the game is rigged in the sense of, you know, to the point where the people are funding their own slavery, and they're funding their own demise down the line. You know, trying to save $1, you did that by making sure that, you know, a person doesn't eat, and you know the cycle's going to continue. So, you know, at this point, man, you know, these big companies, like, I agree, these big companies, they can't wait to officially cut the line. You know, what are people doing right now? Or we cut the cord when it came to, you know, they can't wait to cut the cord when it comes to paying these useless eaters. Man, they can't wait. So, and we're funding that.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're funding that. So, you know, it's something to think about, man. Because, you know, when I saw that article today, you know, it was the same type of alarm bells going off of, hey, man, get it together. You know, prepare for the storm. And, you know, so for this guy here, you know, I do find it hard to feel sorry for people in his position, because he, you know, he's in a lot of stuff. I don't know what those checks look like initially, but you know, these are very large checks, I would assume. And you gotta be able to put yourself in a position to make sure, because at some point, you know, in 2016, you could have been like, hey man, I'm low-key living check to check. And from there, you gotta take some of these checks and put it into something. So 9 years later, when we're in 2025, you're not sitting there on some platform talking about I can't feed myself. So yeah, man, I find it hard to feel completely bad for people that's in his position. You know, it's kind of low key, no different than athletes when they holler that they broke. And it's like, you got so many resources. I mean, you can just stand somewhere and people won't say, I'm a star. And automatically that's a check. And you got to find out how to make that jump, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the rest of us, bro. We are, you know what I'm saying? I would love to have some of those checks that he got. And he do get residual checks. They probably look like my checks. And he hollering he broke. You know what I'm saying? So I find it hard to feel sorry for these people. Man, hey man, just go get you a 2-bedroom, bro, and get up out that whatever acre home you're in, because clearly you can't afford it. And that's my thing with anybody. You know, don't live beyond your means. And these actors, you know, they get into this Hollywood lifestyle, they're gonna want to live like it. And but hey man, you know, whatever your checks look like, that's what your lifestyle should be. So yeah, man, I find it hard to completely feel sorry for him. You know, you don't want to see him in this position, but at the same time, I knew there were plenty of opportunities between here and there for him to make something jump. And you know, I can't really go all the way down the road of, you know, crying him a river, you know, because like I mentioned at the beginning of all of this, hey man, the cord is getting cut for the rest of us, the grinders out here. And yeah, man, that's right around the corner. You know, I was projecting 2030, man. It's looking more like 28, you know, when things is going to be upside down world. So, you know, we got to get right out here, y'all. So yeah, man, I agree with you, man. You know, the movie studios and all these industries are no different. You know, at some point, you know, they're putting a major squeeze on everybody. And if you're not in those executive rooms, you're not seeing anything. Yeah. So, you know, best of luck to everybody out there, man, because, you know, we're going to need it. I say that.
You're absolutely right, man. The last thing that I'll say, you brought up a very good point when you said we're funding our own demise. That's 100% true. Mm-hmm. I think the masses, we are so obsessed with taking advantage of things that make our lives convenient without thinking about the greater cost behind that. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, I made, you know, and not to get holier than thou, but one of the things that it's a very small, subtle thing, but one of the things that I sort of pledged to myself several years ago was whenever I go to a grocery store, I am not going to utilize self-checkout. Like, you know, now it's a subtle thing, right? And I'm not trying to say everyone should do that, but it was a personal decision that I made for myself. I felt as though me using self-checkout every time I went to a grocery store was me contributing to that business being able to eliminate labor, mm-hmm. which puts people out of work. Because, you know, think about it, like it's the deductive reasoning. The more people use self-checkout, the less people are going to cash registers that are actually manned by a human. And if the store is seeing less cash registers manned by a human, they're going to say, oh, we don't need these humans anymore. Mm-hmm. And now their labor formulas and their curves for the next fiscal year or whatever, they're going to adjust for that. And now you have layoffs and people getting fired because the store, the company is like, we don't need this anymore. Self-checkout is doing the work for us, which is all well and good because self-checkout makes your life more convenient if you want to do self-checkout. But what is the greater toll on humanity? And I get that makes it sound like this big thing, but just think about it for a second. What if 1 billion people a day refuse to do self-checkout? You don't think that that's going to affect how many people are going to be able to have employment at some of these establishments that utilize self-checkout? Mm-hmm. So it's just little things like that I started to notice and observe. Like, you know, it's small things that I decided to do in my own personal life to try and stave off the apocalypse as much as I can. I can't fight it off entirely, but there is just small things that I can do to kind of slow it down, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things that I decided to do because the more you like, I get it, cord cutting. Can I just say as an aside, I don't really understand at this point the advantages of cord cutting because by the time you're spending all the money on the various like, I don't get it. But like if you're streaming, if you're using 5 or 6 different apps to stream, at that point you might as well get cable because you're spending around the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand the cord cutting thing as a measure of saving money. I don't get that. But beyond that, for all of the people who don't go to the movies anymore because they say, oh, I'll wait till it gets on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu, these empty movie theaters, like, why should this guy be making top dollar as an actor? No one's going to movie theaters. Like, a lot of this stuff is stuff that we are doing actively as humans. We're contributing to this. If more of us went to the movies, if the movie theater business on an annual basis was doing what it was doing back in the 90s and the 2000s, he probably wouldn't be hollering, broke about how much he's struggling financially making movies. Like, it's a full circle thing that I don't think enough people take into account. Like, our individual decision making on a day-to-day basis is contributing to a lot of this. Like, the more that we allow ourselves to become slaves to these various applications, the more expedient we are, ushering in this new era of complete automation and the removal of humans in any way that they can contribute to society. And so, like I said before, unless you're at the top of the pile or unless you were able to eat when these things were at their zenith, you're liable. So, unless you're Jerry Seinfeld, who makes $60 million a year off of Seinfeld royalties, which that's gonna last for the rest of his life. Who else is in that position? Very few. Or the cast of Friends. I think they each make like $20 million a year from the royalties off of Friends. But that's an extreme minority in the entertainment business. That's not everybody. So what is everyone else going to be doing? So good luck to everybody out there. These emerging markets and economies are coming. They are going to take over. And unless you figure out the right way to leverage them for yourself, you're going to be pretty soon talking like this guy. And a lot of us are already talking like this guy. A lot of us have already experienced these layoffs. The video game industry right now is experiencing the greatest crisis ever because these video game studios are either shutting down or getting rid of labor because of the economy and because of the way things are going with the replacement of people and where the money is flowing to now, which all the money now is flowing into automation instead of actual human resources. So I thought that the entertainment industry and the creative arts might be the last fields to go in this dynamic, but it kind of looks like we're all getting screwed at the same time.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Shouts out to Djimon Hounsou. I appreciated you as Korath and Guardians of the Galaxy. Good luck, bro. I hope you figure something out for yourself.
Seriously, man. Best of luck to you, bro.
Next up, we are going to talk about Meta getting rid of DEI. We have a couple of ongoing series here on the channel. This is quickly becoming an ongoing series where we are spotlighting large corporations who are deciding that they are going to reverse ship when it comes to DEI. And Meta is the latest example of that. So for anybody who is a champion of DEI and loves it, and you're kind of cringing because companies are deciding that they don't want to do it anymore, places like Walmart, I am pretty sure you are not going to like this news here. But this says Meta discontinues DEI programs just days after the company's CEO announces the end of its fact-checking system.
Hysterical.
Meta has joined the ranks of major companies that are scaling back or, in its case, terminating diversity, equity, inclusion programs. In a memo sent on Friday, January 10th, through Meta's internal communications tool Workplace, Janelle Gale, the company's vice president of human resources, announced updates to our hiring, development, and procurement practices, effective immediately, according to Axios. The legal and policy landscape surrounding DEI efforts in the United States is changing, Gale wrote in the memo. The Supreme Court of the United States has recently made decisions signaling a shift in how courts will approach DEI. The term DEI has also become charged, in part because it is understood by some as a practice that suggests preferential treatment of some groups over others. Going forward, Meta will no longer have a dedicated DEI team. Maxine Williams, the company's standing chief diversity officer, will transition to a new role focus on accessibility and engagement. Instead of DEI programs, Meta plans to implement initiatives that focus on applying fair and consistent practices to mitigate bias for everyone, regardless of their background. While the company claims it will continue to seek candidates from diverse backgrounds, it will discontinue the diverse slate hiring approach that mandates employers consider a diverse pool of candidates for every open position. Gale also said the company will end its representation goals, which can imply bias and suggest that decisions are made based on race or gender. Meta has the privilege to serve billions of people every day. It's important to us that our products are accessible to all and are useful in promoting economic growth and opportunity around the world. We continue to focus on serving everyone and building a multi-talented, industry-leading workforce from all walks of life. The changes to Meta's DEI practices come 3 days after the company announced that it was discontinuing its fact-checking system and making changes to its content moderation practices on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Meta will transition to a community notes model in the coming months, similar to Elon Musk at X, formerly Twitter. Mark Zuckerberg said the programs have become too politically biased and destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. We've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. Zuckerberg is one of several prominent technology executives who have established relationships with Donald Trump. Despite their previously tumultuous relationship, which included Trump's suspension from Instagram and Facebook after his actions following January 6, 2021, Zuckerberg was among those who gathered with the president-elect at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, after his November 2024 victory. So blah, blah, blah. In December 2024, Meta confirmed a $1 million donation to Trump's inaugural fund. All right, so there you have it. Meta joining Walmart and other companies who are scrapping DEI because they feel as though it's had the reverse effect, and now people are just not having the fact that they are being excluded from certain things in hiring practices because they think that DEI is exclusionary. So what are your impressions of Meta deciding that DEI is no longer a thing?
Yeah, man, money talks, I would say. Money definitely talks, and this sounds like they need to make more money. There was a big campaign going on for the last couple years of frustrated people. Saying if you go woke, you go broke, and they were really boycotting places because they would do particular woke ass things, and there's more. And honestly, bro, the most people that I've seen doing this, are pretty much white people, in the sense of, they just don't like it. The woke stuff. I mean, they just do not go for it. Not everybody's in the woke column. There's white people that's woke, all this other stuff. But the people that I've seen putting their flag in the ground and just saying like, I'm not having it, was white people I've seen mainly. And there's all kinds of content on YouTube where they're just absolutely dunking all over DEI. And, some people will holler systemic racism about that. Say they thing or whatever. But listen, there's more white people in this country than anybody else. And, whenever there's a celebrity that blows up, if there's a Katy Perry, she do numbers. Whenever there's an Eminem, he do numbers. And the reason being is because they got a lot of purchasing power, and they go around and they spend their money. And when you are upsetting that group of people with all of these initiatives, they started talking with their money. And for Meta and Instagram, which were, you know, highly censored, for them to take a step back and said that they're also going to adjust their content moderation rules. You know, I find it to be more in line with X. I find that more surprising than rolling back the DEI. But the reason being is that they saw what Twitter has done in the age of censorship, and they see that people are still running to that platform because they do feel like they have a sense of, hey, I can say whatever I want over here. And so when people are doing that, they're going to run away from your platform, which is heavily censored. So, you know, this is money moves here. You know, they tried to, in my opinion, you know, usher in, which they did. They had their impact of ushering in a social way of thinking, social engineering. But at the same time, like they said, that this past election really highlighted is that there's a lot of people in this country that aren't going for all of this woke stuff. And if y'all want to make money, y'all need to be in line with the people who don't want this woke stuff. So, you know, as a possible benefactor of DEI in my life, you don't like to see these things roll away. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I would like to think, you know, some of the times I was kept, not just because I was the only black guy in the office. You know, hopefully they kept me because they like me. But who knows, man? But at the same time, bro, like, you know, some of these things, especially affirmative action and others, they were put in place, I feel as though, because there was a need for you know, to balance things out, for people to get work, get in certain places. But at the same time, you know, I do feel as though it did put things in a place where there were people that weren't qualified in positions, and I can clearly say that, man. I ain't gonna. There was people in positions because they didn't need they needed to fill a quota, and they weren't really good at what they were doing. And so with all this DEI stuff, you know, here comes the tomatoes. I gotta go to throw them, but that's fine. But with this DEI stuff, you started to see more of that. I don't know when, you know, I guess it was post George Floyd, like you keep talking about, but this DEI stuff, I was like, what is that?
Yes.
And it was like super aggressive lately. Well, I'm seeing people in positions, you know, just because it looks good, you know, aesthetically. And I'm like, what is that person doing though? You know? So I feel as though this was it was overdrive. It went a little too crazy. And I think these companies are bringing it back in because they're starting to see that it didn't have the impact that they wanted. I guess it had the initial impact, you know, to make people feel good at that time. But, you know, time has moved on, and they're secretly, a lot of these places, they'll make a blurb here, a blurb there, but this is just going to go away. And, you know, but they're secretly, they're not as loud about these rollbacks as they were as announcing it. That's what I'm getting at. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. If you don't like it, create your own. You know, make your own damn thing, and stop sitting at somebody's counter demanding them to feed you. You know, they don't have to. Make your own damn counter and feed your own damn people if you don't like it. That's my thoughts on that. But man, what are your thoughts on Meta's, you know, doing a 180? And reversing the DEI and lightening up on censorship, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it can all go away. I've never liked it. DEI can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not a fan of Meta in any kind of way. I think it is perhaps the most broken app to even use. And it doesn't make sense to me that they make the money that you know, that corporation brings in the revenue annually that it does, despite the fact that as an app from a user standpoint, it is broken all the time. Like the amount of bugs that I encounter using Meta, just it's ridiculous. You know, it's no wonder people don't use that thing anymore, yet they make all the money in the world still, which boggles my mind. But I bring all that up to say that I have no I don't have a love. No one's going to confuse me for having a love affair with Meta. But having said that, get rid of DEI because it needs to go. I've never been a fan of DEI because I feel as though it is placing a Band-Aid on an open wound. You're not actually suturing the wound; you're just putting a big bandage over it. But the wound itself is still bleeding. When it comes to truly creating a perfect world where everything is fair, as if that's such a thing that exists, and people can get all of these opportunities, you have to start with positions of leadership. And I've always contended that until Meta is owned by someone who's not white, DEI is a fallacy. It doesn't really exist. That's why there's all this hoopla in the NFL with the Rooney Rule. And people get bent out of shape because they are perceiving a slight whenever a non-white coach, preferably a black coach, isn't given an opportunity to hire for a job, or they are perceived to have been fired faster than they should have been fired. And, my whole thing is, well, you have to look at the statistics of the league, the diaspora of it. Every single league in the NFL, outside of, I believe, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers, because the Green Bay Packers, in fact, don't have an owner, all those teams are owned by white people or white families. So until you have at least 51% of the NFL franchises run by somebody who's not a white person, fairness is never going to be something that is achieved. It's quite literally impossible to achieve ultimate fairness because there are too many intricacies that are going to get in the way of that, due to the fact that at the very top, the proprietors of these separate businesses all look the same. Like there's a cultural homogenization that is taking place there. And to your point, you hit the nail on the head, because that is what I was going to say. What actual DEI looks like is all of these people hollering about, equality and the things that they're doing for their people, and how they're helping to better their community. All of these black billionaires, people like Jay-Z and Oprah, for example, they need to start their own sports league. Like if it was really that serious, instead of partnering with the NFL to make sure that the halftime show has the representation that you're looking for, start your own football league. Start your own football league where most of the teams are owned by somebody who looks like you, and the league has a commissioner who looks like you. And at that point, you have carte blanche on the kind of halftime show that you want to run at your championship game. But to your point, you're trying to infiltrate a long-standing tradition and demand that it be given the facelift that you want it to be given on the basis of fairness and equality. And while the sentiment of that seems nice and rainbows and unicorns and wonderful to think about, in actuality, achieving that ultimate fairness is, in my opinion, unrealistic given the cultural homogenization of the people who actually run and retain the majority of the ownership in these various spaces. So Meta and X and Kellogg's and General Electric and the rest of these Fortune 500 companies can talk about all of the inclusionary things that they're doing all day, every day. But in my opinion, until the board of directors is at least 51% non-white, until the CEOs of these corporations are at least 51% non-white, until the majority of the shareholders are at least 51% non-white, you're never actually going to achieve all of this. And all you'll be doing at the end of the day is having a modern day sit-in where you you're sitting at someone else's table and demanding that they give you the things that you want, regardless of the fact that they own this stuff and they can do whatever the hell they want to do with it.
Exactly.
So like I never liked DEI. I've been against it from the beginning. It's hollow. It's very contrived. And it's always going to feel like this half measure to placate people who are complaining. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a half measure to placate people who are complaining. And it's like, hey, look, all you have to do is just start your own thing. That's why I didn't fault Dwayne Johnson for for trying to create, jumpstart and recreate the XFL. Because he's saying, the NFL, y'all can do what y'all want, and yeah, y'all are king, but at least I'm going to start my own thing. And he's not the only one doing it, but he's the main face behind it. And he's put a lot of money and resources into, bringing back the XFL to sort of create an environment where such a thing exists. Because that's really the only way to create this world of fairness that everyone thinks is so possible to create. But outside of doing something like that where you're creating your own, none of this stuff is really realistic. Unless Mark Zuckerberg wakes up and decides to sell Meta to a black person, you can have all the DEIs in the world. It's still owned by the same person. And the company's still run by the same looking people. And the people who are making the majority of the money from a shareholder standpoint are the same looking people. So where is the equality that you seek? Just because they decided to hire a black kid to be the social media account manager, making $50,000, $60,000 a year, that's an easy fix. They can do that all day, every day. That doesn't really change anything. So I'm glad they're rolling it back because it doesn't fix what it was created to fix. And hopefully it can wake some people up to the reality that ultimately, at least in this country, ownership is the only way to really create a world where the principles that DEI are supposed to establish can actually be created.
Exactly. And it's because when you go to a nail salon, ladies, all right, I don't see any DEI in there. I don't. I see people from their own culture and ethnicity working in there. When I go to a Chinese restaurant, I don't see any DEI in there either. I know for people that's in South Florida or whatever, and you go to these various establishments that's run by a family, a Hispanic family. I don't see any DEI in there either.
Not only do you, and I can speak to this because I live in South Florida. Not only do you not see any DEI in there, but you probably should just go eat somewhere else.
Exactly.
Because you gonna walk into these Hispanic restaurants where the owner and the management and the employees all speak Spanish. They don't even speak your language, bro.
Right.
And what are you gonna do? Demand that they need to speak English? That's their establishment.
Right.
You need to learn Spanish.
Right.
And if you don't learn Spanish, you should just take your business elsewhere because they don't need your money.
They really don't. They act like it too when I'm in there. It's like, bro, I don't need your money, bro. It's like, man, I don't care, man. Let me get some pastelitos, bro. Guava. Let me get that guava. They be looking crazy. I was like, I don't care, man. I don't know no black people making pastelitos, so I'm gonna eat y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see no DEI in there either. You know what I'm saying? So and so the point I'm trying to make here is when you run your own spot, you can run with however the hell you want to. And white people have been the only people in this country forced to let everybody else in. Everybody else can do whatever the hell they want. And so when a white man owns a company, he's got to make sure he's got the percent Asian, percent black, percent this, percent that, and make everybody happy, make a lady CEO, do all of these things. And he's been doing that for a long time. He's tired of it. And he's tired of it. So if you got used to it, because we grew up in this, if you grew up in a time after segregation and stuff like that, and you're used to this sit-in energy, and you're starting to be reminded of a time before then, good. Because we need to get back to a spot where we was making our own Wall Street. And the only way you can do that is if you're creating your own stuff and not sitting around and asking somebody else to sit at their damn table. Because when the Spanish people come over here, they're not asking to sit at the table. But over here in Austin, bro, these Indian people, they're not playing around. They own stuff. They're not joking. And, they make their money. And Indian people patronize it. And when I walk in their spots, I don't see any DEI either. So make your own spots. Period.
Yeah.
And so oh no, we're in a post-racial society. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we're not. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, man. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit around holler and complain, or you're gonna do your own thing? And I choose to be in the lane of doing your own thing, and also in the lane of I know where I'm at. So when I go into somebody else's establishment and they want to act crazy towards me, it's my fault. You still want to spend money with these people? You gotta ask yourself this instead of demanding your rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, because when I go into our restaurants that's owned by our people, I'm treated with the most love, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that they looking for a tip or nothing like that. They just, hey, man, my brother's in here. Hey, man, what do you want? And that's what happened when Spanish people go to a Spanish restaurant.
Right.
That's what happened when Asian people go to an Asian restaurant. That's what happened when white people go to a white restaurant. So when you're a black person, you go into a white restaurant and they make you sit in the back by the burners and the trash can. You can't be mad about that. You can't. Hollering racism, filing lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying, man. So that sit-in energy got to go. And if it has to go by force, so be it. Hopefully our people can wake up to see what's going on instead of crying foul, because that's what we've been trained to do. Cry foul and march and hold picket signs, but not do a damn thing about creating our own businesses. So hey man, let these people do what they do. But I'm really excited about the non-censorship. Hopefully the conscious approach won't be shadow banned on these various platforms.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't even get into the censorship part. That's a whole other conversation. I stopped trying to promote this channel via ads on Meta on Facebook because I was constantly rejected because I violated community guidelines off of the most innocuous stuff, where the machine is just sensitive as hell, and it determined that our content can be offensive. Why? Because we're telling the truth.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. So yeah, if they dial some of that censorship stuff back, good. All of this stuff needs to go. All of this was a swift overreaction to 2020. Mm-hmm. All of it. That's why I say there is a pre and post George Floyd world. And I think right now we are looking at a lot of these informal and formal practices that basically were created post George Floyd getting dialed back because it was a swift overreaction. People really need to get out of this idea in their minds of fairness. Fairness does not exist. Okay, there's no such thing as fair. You get what you earn through what you put in. There is no fair. There isn't. And until people get over the idea that something is entitled to them due to fairness, we'll continue to be trying to beg people for stuff at their own place. And yeah, man, not too long ago, me and my mom had a mother-son night out, and we went to a Black-owned restaurant in Overtown. And this place is called Little Greenhouse Grill. And this food was delicious. The service was great. And shouts out to them because the lady who runs it, she was talking about how they were able to secure, groundbreaking for a larger building, because where they are currently is a small building in Overtown. It only fits but so many people, but they're on the bigger and better things. And so my whole thing was, I'm going to come here whenever I want a night out to get some food. And that's no disrespect to any other place, because I'll patronize other people's stuff too. But I'm also going to patronize, my community as well. Exactly. Everybody gets my purchasing power, unless I find out that you're a scumbag in some kind of way. But, that's the kind of stuff that you need to do, because those people who run that restaurant aren't sitting down at another person's restaurant, a Cuban restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, talking about speak my language and give me what I want the way that I want it. Like, that's not how this stuff works, man. And those, at Little Greenhouse Grill, if they wanted, if a Chinese person or a Cuban or a Puerto Rican walked in there acting crazy, they can be like, get the hell out if you don't like it, because that's how we do things here.
Mhm.
So that is actual fairness whenever you own your own and you can do whatever you want as a result.
Right.
Not this pie in the sky notion of I'm going to go into something that someone else owns and demand that they do things my way. Like, people need to get out of this whole fairness thing. It's a pie in the sky notion. It really doesn't exist. And so good to these corporations for getting rid of DEI. It's a fallacy. It was never a realistic proposition, and they should get rid of it.
Yep. Yeah, man. So the next DEI that we're gonna have is that y'all have to hire humans. So I'm gonna make y'all do that. Y'all ain't gonna force me out, damn it. There's gonna be some legislation saying y'all need an X amount of percentage of humans.
Yeah.
I ain't playing with y'all bastards.
For real. Yeah. Yeah. Shouts out to getting rid of DEI. I'm not gonna say shouts out to Meta because I don't like them, but shouts out to getting rid of DEI. And now we move on to Mr. Zion Williamson, who I believe is a friend of the channel. Zion has, up to this point, had a disappointing career, juxtaposed to expectations. Mr. Williamson, who once again is not playing in very many games this season, that's become an expectation for this guy, is that he's just not going to play a whole lot of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that he is a professional basketball player. He has been suspended by the New Orleans Pelicans. Well, this already happened, but he was suspended one game by the Pelicans for conduct detrimental to the team. Apparently, he had been showing up late to team practices, and he held up a team flight because he was late to it. So the organization had enough, and they decided to suspend him for a game. So this says Pelicans suspend Zion Williamson after he was reportedly late to team flight to Philadelphia. New Orleans Pelicans forward Zion Williamson has been suspended by the team for one game for violating team policies. Williamson will miss Friday night's matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers as a result of the suspension. Williamson's punishment reportedly came as a result of the 24-year-old forward showing up late to the team's flight to Philadelphia on Thursday. The Pelicans announced the suspension on Friday, but did not clarify the specific violation. David Griffin, executive vice president of basketball operations, said in a statement that Williamson's suspension is a result of failing to meet our team standards. In a statement, Williamson said he takes full responsibility for this suspension. I've worked extremely hard in rehab to get healthy to deliver for this team. There is no excuse for being late to team activities, Williamson said. I can and will be better as a teammate and member of this organization. Williamson has reportedly been late for multiple practices, per ESPN reporter Chris Haynes, a pattern of behavior that led the organization to suspend him. Williamson returned to the court on Tuesday after a 27-game absence because of a hamstring injury, finishing with 22 points and a few highlight-worthy dunks in a loss to the Timberwolves. The forward has only played in 7 of the Pelicans' 37 games this season. Williamson also missed New Orleans' game against the Portland Trail Blazers on Wednesday, with the team opting to keep him out of the back-to-back while he is still reconditioning. So there you go, man. Another chapter in the dysfunctional book of Zion as a pro. He was suspended for a game because of chronic tardiness. And he's only played in 7 out of 37 games because of a hamstring injury. And they're giving him the Joel Embiid treatment of not playing in back-to-backs because he is still, quote-unquote, reconditioning. What do you make of this latest development involving Mr. Williamson?
You know, I really don't understand with these modern athletes, bro. The amount of injuries that go on, and it's not all these guys, man. And I think that these injuries are more or less mental injuries than physical injuries. That yes, you know, for some of these guys where it's the soft tissue stuff, you know, lower back injury, contusion is a new thing I'm seeing out there, like a leg contusion. What the hell is that? A bruise? You saying that for a bruise? And other things. These guys are just finding any excuse to sit out. No different than when you were in school, people was finding any excuse to not come to school. It's the same thing, And then there was those people that no matter what, they came to class. And then there's those people that are like, very indifferent. And what's going on right now is that these guys with this guaranteed money, there's a lot of guys in the league right now that are just indifferent to playing. In the days of modern medicines, chambers, ice baths, you know what I'm saying? Knee scopes where they can literally play again in, the matter of weeks. So advanced surgery techniques. You tear your Achilles, you know what I'm saying? Just go to France or Spain or wherever the hell Kobe went, and you're back in the game in less than a year. But these dudes here, man, they find any excuse in the book to not show up. Not playing back-to-backs. Unless you have no cartilage in your knees, I don't think there's a reason to do that. Tim Hardaway, I don't have his jersey hanging up right now, but when Tim Hardaway, his latter years of playing in the league, man, I mean, it was bone on bone for that guy. And Pat Riley was going to run him through the damn ground anyway.
Yeah, Tim and Patrick Ewing, they both would have both knees wrapped the whole game.
Yeah,
the biggest knee pads. Yeah, Patrick Ewing and Tim Hardaway, bro, and they played every game.
You know what I'm saying? But towards the end, Tim, he would like be like limited in the back-to-back or something like that, but he would still play. These guys here don't feel the need to play. They find any excuse in the book to sit out, and I'm over it. But as I mentioned, it's not every dude in the league, man. There's guys out there that play. Their lists are questionable. They go play anyway. And, I love those dudes. But, the overwhelming majority, I would say, have this mentality here that Zion's got, where basically like skipping practice, being late to things, it's an overall mentality that he has. It's an approach and how he feels about his profession. And so if he's showing up late to stuff or not showing up at all, that's how he feels about playing games. So he's going to not want to play at all, show up when he wants to, and all this other type of stuff. So, I just think it's a sign of the times. I don't want to put it on all of these young people because there are young people out there that go play no matter what. SGA is a great example of that. He plays through whatever. He's always playing. Cade Cunningham always plays. He plays through whatever. Amongst others. So it's not just because they're young they're doing this. I think it's a sign of the times, and that there was a mental virus that has gotten spread in the NBA where these guys just feel like they can just do whatever and get away with it because honestly they have. And so the guys that were going to do that are doing it. And the guys that don't feel that way ain't. And Zion is definitely one of those guys, with this new way of thinking of, hey man, I'm just here and I got the money. I'm making everything I need to have. I guess I'll go play basketball. It's awful, dude. So, yeah, man. You want these guys to get paid. You're happy for them for making it to the league, but at the same time, if they're going to treat such a gift like this, like a lump of coal, they can kiss my ass, man. To be honest with you, bro, I don't like it. Yeah. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Zion Williamson just being late to stuff, not showing up to things, therefore getting suspended for a game? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I feel where you're coming from. I was watching First Things First one day a few weeks ago, and Nick Wright was talking about how he's afraid for the NBA because, it was always his favorite league to look forward to, but he realized this year that he wasn't even excited for opening night or the opening week. He was like not even really excited about it. And so he's been talking lately about the threats that the NBA is facing, you know, and why the ratings are declining and why the general dialogue of the NBA is the way it is. And one of the things that he referenced, and I do agree with this, is in addition to the imbalance in the way that the game is played, you know, with the, you know, I don't want to get into the weeds with complaining about the 3-ball. I'll just say that I think the league, in terms of the way that it's played right now, there's a lack of balance. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to just blame threes outright, but I do think that the way it's played is out of balance. And he said that in addition to the lack of balance because of the proliferation of the 3-ball, there's also a larger behavioral observation within the NBA of players not upholding the mantle of professionalism the way players used to. Right. So so you use the word mindset, and it's a mentality and approach of what professionalism means in terms of how you think about that and how that translates to the way that you approach doing your job, which in this case is playing basketball. And a lot of players today, due to various factors, in my opinion, don't necessarily view the concept of professionalism as something to be taken seriously. They kind of feel like it is what it is. It's no big deal. And I do think player empowerment has something to do with that. When you have been told at this point for, I think, 10 years or 15, it's been at least 10, 15 years now, the player empowerment movement in the NBA, LeBron started it, but at least LeBron earned it. But he did start it where, you know, you can get a max contract and be paid and receive all of these different kinds of amenities, and you're still being done wrong by the franchise, and you're still underpaid, and you're still being mistreated by the owner and the GM and the team. So you're getting all of this, yet you're still undervalued and not getting paid enough and not being treated well enough. So now we need to give them more and give them more and give them more and give them more because they deserve more, even though oftentimes they don't. This whole player empowerment thing has spoiled a lot of these players. Yep. And it has imparted them with this idea that professionalism, when it comes to approaching their craft, isn't something that they should take seriously. And I think Zion is a byproduct of that. Couple that with his decision-making, his questionable decision-making, and you have what amounts to someone who does not achieve nearly what he was expected to achieve given where he was when he was drafted and what he was projected to do. And, you know, it might seem trivial to bring this up, but you and I and all of our friends used to talk like this in high school. Back in high school, we used to say, the way that you live life is the way that you play basketball. So the way that you live your life is a microcosm of how you play the game. So, you know, you can pretty much glean why a person's game is constructed the way it is if you know them personally and know what they got going on in their life. So we used to know guys who made erratic decisions in their personal lives. And when we get on the court and we hoop with them, they're doing erratic things on the court. Crazy. Taking crazy, ill-advised shots, throwing the ball out of bounds, turning it over, trying to dribble through traffic when they don't have a handle, trying to take shots with a hand in their face when they should pass it up because they're not open. They would do stuff like that. And it's like when you hang out with this dude and you see how he does things in his you realize, oh, okay, I see how you play like that. Right. Because you live like a wild person in your own life outside of the court. And so, you know, we've talked about Zion on a personal level on this channel in the past, and we've seen how he conducts his personal life. And it's a very undisciplined way to conduct a personal life.
Yeah, it is.
And you can get mad at me all you want to for bringing this up, but there is a correlation between the way a man conducts his decision making personally and how he might approach professionalism when it comes to his professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're running around getting strippers pregnant, and you're getting your business aired out on Front Street publicly by adult film actresses who are showing receipts of the payments you're sending them on a monthly basis, 25,000 here, 100,000 there per month, just completely embarrassing you publicly. It's no wonder that his approach to professionalism is just as disjointed as his approach to women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to blame women. This is not a women thing. I'm using his approach to women as an example of the way his decision making is disjointed and chaotic, and how that correlates to his decision making as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at professionals who conduct themselves in a professional manner, it doesn't matter. We can be talking basketball, we can be talking engineering. It doesn't matter what the industry is. A person who is professional in their job and their craft is also diligent and discreet in how they conduct themselves personally. These things go hand in hand. There's a correlation. And so it's no wonder that Zion can't get himself in good conditioning. It's no wonder he can't get on the court. It's no wonder he can't figure out a way to stop being injured. Like, there's no genetic predisposition to hamstring injuries. Like, he just keeps getting hurt. And he keeps finding himself missing games year after year. You think that that's an isolated incident? Because a person who lives a chaotic life outside of the way he plays is going to bring that chaos into the way that he does play. So I'm pretty much, 90%, 10%, he's never going to figure it out versus he will. Like, I've almost given up on the guy. Almost. Now, I hold out hope because the side of optimism in me hopes that an individual in his position who has the world as his oyster can somehow figure it out. But at this point, there's enough evidence to suggest that he may not be able to get out of his own way. And he isn't the only one. If you are an undisciplined human, you're going to approach the way that you do your job in a similar undisciplined fashion. And that's just a referendum on people's need to be disciplined and to understand that there is a correlation. These aren't isolated incidents. It is not beyond the pale for me to bring up his decision-making when it comes to women as a way to sort of explain in a case study fashion why his playing career has been the way that it's been thus far. They're not isolated. These things are correlated. I won't argue causation, but I will certainly argue correlation. So I'm 90-10 on him at this point. Maybe the 10% can prove to, maybe that slim 10% in my eyes can come through for him, but I'm looking at that 90% that this is going to be what he is for the rest of his career as the likely scenario. And I think it's a shame.
Yeah, man. And I think I brought this up before, but it's kind of like the Ben Simmons situation in a sense that this is we've seen guys not take their opportunity seriously before in the past eras and stuff, but it seems to be more prevalent now, and it's also crossed over into the stars, if you will. People could have said Allen Iverson didn't take basketball seriously, and honestly, he said that himself. Even at the height of him scoring 30 a game or whatever, he still wasn't a professional yet, in his own eyes. And, it just took, years of him being in the league and bumping his head to go, hey, man, I need to be a pro about what I'm doing. And even then, he still had habits, at least in his game, that were still remnants of him when he was playing like a knucklehead, even though Iverson's my favorite player. I'm not calling him a knucklehead. But, you got to be a team player. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, you saw bits and pieces of that in the old era, but no one can question how hard Iverson played or his love of the game.
Or his availability.
Because
correct. He was still in every game.
Correct. No matter what. And you talk about bodies hitting the floor and slamming, he would hit the ground every game. So it had nothing to do with, whatever. He was a little guy. He listed at 6'1". That's on a great. That's what if he's wearing 2-inch platforms.
Right. Yeah.
So Iverson was to me, one of those people that kind of more or less embodied the new era, whatever. But he still had that toughness about him, and as you mentioned, that part of him that always wanted to play. But I haven't seen a person that's considered a star, just quit until Ben Simmons. If somebody remembers somebody before that, please let me know. But Ben Simmons is like the prime example of just quitting. He just don't want to play basketball anymore. Zion, I think Zion likes basketball more than Ben Simmons do. But at the same time, he's got this thing of where he can just get away with it. If you made Zion play, he would play. If you make Ben Simmons play, he's not going to play. He doesn't like basketball. Ben Simmons hates basketball. I'm convinced. So Zion would play if you force him. But you shouldn't have to do that, A. And B, it's a situation where, the little bit of hope that I do have for this guy, I'm not going to hold my breath on it. You said 90%. I guess that's fair. I push more 95% of he ain't going to get it right. I just don't think he cares enough. And with these guaranteed contracts floating around there, and he can play as much PS5 and have as many OF models on deck as he wants. I think that's going to take precedent over playing basketball. And so, yeah, this is the first generation of athletes that were so talented, but don't give a damn. And, you drop Zion on the floor, splash him on the court, he's going to do things. I mean, he puts up numbers. The guy can play. He's talented, but he doesn't care. And so, yeah, I think it's an overall mentality of what's going on in the league. Again, I don't want to put it all on these young dudes. I think it's just an evolution of like how you meant, like you said, of with the player empowerment stuff. Not all dudes are taking advantage of it to the point where they're like spoiled brats. But there's always going to be that. There's going to be the people that are grateful for their opportunity, and there's going to be the people out there that feels entitled to it. And Zion is one of those players that feel entitled to it. And that's why I don't hitch my wagon to any of these dudes. I like the guys that go out there and play no matter what. And so, yeah, man. So sorry, Zion. I can't stand behind this stuff. I was rooting for the guy. I did have my questions. When he first got into the league, because it's kind of written all over him. But I was hoping that he would push through that. But nah, it is what it is with him. And this looks like his new thing. So people are saying that he needs a change of environment. We'll see. I just really feel like if he went somewhere else, he'll go hard for a season to prove haters wrong, and he'll be right back at it because he overall doesn't give a damn.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it is what it is, man. It sucks to see talent like this go to waste. But hey, man, it's a new day and age.
Oh yeah. He signed a 5-year, $197,230,450 contract. That's the money that he's making.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's just he's making an absurd amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He missed 53 games in 2022-23. He's made a lot of money. Put it that way. In the 2019-20 season, he only played 24 games out of 82. The next season after that, 2020-2021, he played 61 out of 82. Then 2022-23, he only played 29 out of 82. Then last year, he had a resurgence. He played 70 games, much to his credit, but then he got hurt in the playoffs. So, you play a lot of games and then you get hurt at the worst time. He got hurt in the playoffs. And so far this year, he has played 8 games. And, you know, he has a $200 million contract. Talk about not recouping on your investment. That would really drive me up a wall. And despite those being the facts, you will still have a lot of these idiots on these opinion shows talk about how valuable he is. And they'll talk about how much he deserves this, that, and the third. That's what I'm saying. The dialogue surrounding the NBA has really contributed to its decline. There's no accountability. Players are just doing whatever they want, acting however they want, approaching professionalism however they want. And the journalism aspect of the sport, which is supposed to be a part of holding the sport accountable, is just defending them on it at every turn. Every player is underpaid. Every player is mistreated. Every player is not treated well by the franchise. Every player is done wrong by the front office. This guy doesn't have enough help. This guy doesn't have the right coach. This guy doesn't have this. This guy doesn't have that. Blah, blah, blah. Up and down. These players are coddled constantly. And you don't hear that kind of dialogue as much with these other sports. And I follow this stuff all the time. I don't hear it as much. I seem to singularly hear it more with the NBA than everywhere else.
Yep.
And I don't get it. If in the NFL, when a receiver becomes a malcontent, no one's looking at the organization for the most part. They're saying the receiver has a problem, and the franchise probably needs to trade that guy.
Right.
But when it's an NBA player, we're looking at the coach. Does the coach need to get fired? Is it the GM? Is the owner messing it up? Is the owner a racist? Are they not doing a good enough job to surround him with good parts? It's all this garbage. So, you know, he's been a beneficiary of this to a certain degree, but more so than anything else, his problem is himself. He is not a professional. He's a professional basketball player in name, but he is not a professional, and he doesn't approach his craft with professionalism. And this is what you get as a result of that. And there is a correlation between his approach to professionalism and his approach to his life in general. And if he can clean up one of those, he'll probably be able to clean up the other. But usually people are who they are, and they can't figure out a way to clean it up.
Yeah, man. He's a rich kid. That's all I see. For some reason, man, even with the facial hair, all the weight, and all this other stuff, man. I mean, he still carries himself like a high school person to me.
Yeah.
And he just looks like, hey, man, what are you gonna give a high schooler, you know, $200 million, and watch how they act. And that's Miss Zion. You know, at some point, this young man is gonna have to grow up. So, you know, yeah, he's you know, I don't know how old he is now, but he's been in the league for what, 5 years now?
He's been around for a minute, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
not that I ever gave these guys the age. You know how I feel. I don't give them the age.
Yeah.
But even with that, he's 24. So
yeah, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was 24, man, I had some movement going on in my brain. So you gotta tighten up, man. This is inexcusable. But what are you gonna do, man? These guys don't love basketball, bro. This is a generation. I would say it's a split, because again, there's guys I watch that I could tell they clearly love basketball, and then there's an overwhelming majority of these kind of guys. And so yeah, man, it sucks, dude. It really does.
Anthony Edwards, he's another one who plays. Mm-hmm. He plays every game. I remember Anthony Edwards, he was talking to the media one time. They asked him about load management, and he was like, "That's dumb to me. Like, I don't feel bad. I'm not aching. I'm not hurt. You know, I'm a basketball player."
You're playing basketball.
Yeah, he's like, I don't understand. That's stupid to me. I'm gonna just go out and play basketball. Like, so he gets it. And he's a young guy. That's like, this stuff is not age; it's a maturity factor.
Yeah,
and it's your approach to professionalism. So I don't care about the age, and no. I don't give these guys the age card. I don't. And by the way, with great power does come great responsibility. If you're being paid $200 million, you have a responsibility to be a professional, regardless of what your age is. You need to figure that shit out.
Agreed. I agree.
It's no excuses, bro. You're getting paid $200, so you get to just enjoy the lamps of luxury by getting paid $200 million, but not be responsible for being a professional. It don't work like that.
Well, and last thing I'll say is that, you know, and guys like KG and others who came into the league straight out of high school or whatever, you know, they would always credit the veterans in the locker room for keeping them in line, showing them how to be a professional, showing them the ropes when they go to the club, avoid those kinds of women, you know, all of that stuff. And these young guys don't have that. You know, when you're a 19-year-old and you get you know, $100 million and the vet on your team is 25. I mean, you know, the whole league then went wayward, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So when these guys don't have no vets to look up to show them the way, to show them how to be a pro and to be a man, they grow up to be $100 million children.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of that going on. So yeah, man, it's really crazy to watch, and therefore you're getting a crazy product. So something's going to have to give. Don't know what they're going to have to do because there's so many issues at this point. But if they continue down this way, the league is going to return how it was before Magic and Bird got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope he figures it out, man. I really do. But yeah, he just needs to learn how to be a professional. And right now, he don't got the keys.
He got the keys.
It's wild. Next up, we are going to discuss a bit of a back and forth between Jason Whitlock and Cam Newton. Now, I actually saw this last week, but I didn't know how much we wanted to milk the Joy Taylor horse.
You know what I'm saying? With those jugs, there's a lot of milking to go on.
Right, those tomato cans. Yeah.
What Whitlock said she got cans.
Tomato cans. Yeah. She got that peanut butter skin and those tomato cans. So you know, for anybody who needs to get caught up on this, Joy Taylor was implicated in a civil lawsuit alleging a toxic workplace environment. In that same lawsuit, she is also alleged to have engaged in an inappropriate sexual relationship with an executive at Fox Sports in order to get her way onto certain shows and to receive certain promotions. And she told this hairstylist who's filing the lawsuit that if things ever went left, she would use that relationship against the executive as a play to claim that he forced himself on her. And so she's kind of looking real crazy in the court of public opinion at the moment. Jason Whitlock, an old school journalist who now has his own show on YouTube, used to work at Fox Sports, has been giving his opinion on this. And he basically said in a roundabout way that he couldn't see himself when he worked at Fox working with Joy Taylor because he knew at the time what he was capable of. You know, he said that, you know, she can't be showing up with her peanut butter skin and her tomato cans because it just wouldn't make sense for him in terms of fostering a professional working environment. Because, you know, Jason Whitlock knew what that's about and he might take advantage of that. And here comes Cam Newton unmuting to talk about how inappropriate Whitlock's comments were and to basically say Jason Whitlock doesn't have the cachet to talk like that because he is quote unquote not that guy. And Whitlock responded to Cam Newton by saying, "What do you mean by that guy? Furthermore, do you think I want to be that guy?" So that is the subject of this particular segment here. So this says, "I am not that guy. I don't want to be that guy." Jason Whitlock addresses Cam Newton's "stay in your lane" comments about Joy Taylor. Sports analyst and commentator Jason Whitlock responded to former NFL quarterback Cam Newton's comments about him, saying that he is not that guy. In one of the recent episodes of Fearless, Jason Whitlock addressed Cam Newton's statement about him, saying that he is not that guy, to which Jason responded with, "I don't want to be that guy." So the first thing Cam Newton has to do for me to fully understand this, who's that guy, Whitlock said. What are we talking about here? Define that guy for me, Cam. I say this in all seriousness. I would love to have this conversation with you on what makes someone that guy, and then ask yourself, does Jason Whitlock want to be that guy? Because maybe this is just a misunderstanding about what that guy is and whether or not I want to be it. Here's who I want to be, Cam. I want to be a Christian who provides biblical wisdom to young people and older people who reject and deny the wisdom that's spelled out in the Bible. That's the guy I'm trying to be. To the best of my ability, that's who I am. That's the guy that I want to be. What would say, Cam, is you're right. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I'm trying to be a guy that reaches people like Cam Newton and say being that guy is an actual mistake. So earlier this week, Whitlock had been discussing in his program Fearless the issue of the lawsuit filed against people from Fox Sports 1 accusing Executive Vice President Charlie Dixon and former host Skip Bayless of workplace misconduct and sexual harassment. The lawsuit also detailed stories of how host Joy Taylor allegedly slept her way to the top of the corporate ranks. In one of his earlier videos, Jason Whitlock described Joy Taylor's breasts as big rack and big cans and her complexion as peanut butter skin. He also detailed how he knows what I am capable of, and this is why he distanced himself from the female host in the past. Whitlock's choice words sparked backlash, with some people accusing him of sexualizing Joy Taylor, and some even accusing him of pretending to be that guy like what Cam Newton did. Jason Whitlock has already gone on to explain that his comments were not to express desire for Joy Taylor, but rather to state a reality that any man is susceptible to temptation. So that's pretty much the gist of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to back out of this and we're going to play a little video to go along with these comments made back and forth by Whitlock and Cam Newton. So let me go ahead and back out.
That big rack.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and share this. All right. So here is a snippet that gives you the gist of what's going on here between these two.
Jason Whitlock, you're not that guy, pal.
Cam, I used to spend a lot of time worried about who I was effing. And now I don't. Because I finally figured out that's not the key to what my purpose here in life is. You think you're out here killing it, being that guy, and you got baby mamas from strip clubs and baby mamas from Instagram. You done knocked up 304s all across the South and had babies with them. And I guarantee you missed your blessing.
All right, so short, sweet, and to the point, but that should get the message across there. So this thing has all kinds of legs, but what do you make of this exchange here? What do you make of what Cam had to say and then what Whitlock had to say in response?
Yeah, first of all, when Whitlock said what he said, because I saw that first, of course, and I'm not really a fan of Whitlock. I think he is. I think he's a bit extra, and a bit of a shock jock at what he does in his own little lane. He just says splashy things, and so never really cared for him as a personality, really. But I guess the respect will come in at is that people be liking some of his stuff. So, but I was personally never a fan. So when he was saying his stuff about Joy Taylor, about her peanut butter skin, her big rack and her tomato cans, I'm like, all right. So, me personally, I was like, can you say that? Can you say that? Can you say her big? He had to emphasize it because when he said big rack of hers, and he said that big rack, he had to double down and say it again. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like this is appropriate. So when I saw people coming out of the woodwork to lay into Jason Whitlock, he's easy prey. He's because there's quite a few people out here that don't care for Whitlock themselves. So Whitlock is low hanging fruit. So I felt like when Cam made that play, I felt like nobody went harder than Cam from the people that had something to say. There was nobody as big as Cam that had something to say to Whitlock. And when Cam came at him, basically saying that he's not that guy, I'm like, what do you mean? You know, he's not that. That's what I was saying. Like, what do you mean that he's not that guy?
Right.
You know, any guy can see those tomato cans. So for him to say that, like, what are you talking about? So I guess what he was getting at was that, you know, Whitlock he's not that guy to hit somebody like Joy Taylor. But Whitlock said it himself. You know, he was like, hey, man, it only took me to shoot a shot, basically, you know, with those, you know, jugs that are just hanging out there like that. You know, it only took me to shoot my shot for her to say Whitlock was being inappropriate to me in the workplace and for him to be upside down and looking crazy at work. So he was basically saying that he removed himself away from all of that temptation. So he's not getting Me Too'd. So whether he can hit or not, you know, that doesn't, you know, it has no bearing on the fact that she could have got him fired. So his point wasn't that, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, me, Whitlock, you know, I ain't want to hit that and get caught up at work. That's not what he was getting at. So for Cam to be coming at him so adamantly, as if Whitlock was implying that he could have tossed up Joy, you know, it was a bit much for me. But honestly, bro, if if the allegations are true, Whitlock probably could have got a chance to toss that up. So, hey, man, because you saw that exec. Now, Whitlock don't have the power the exec has, all right? Because, you know, if the allegations are true, you know, power will make her spread. But, hey, man, who knows, man? You know,
And
so
at the time, he was still higher up on the food chain than her. So
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if it was power dynamics, you know, she probably would have busted open for the dynamics. So, hey, man, you never know. So, yeah, I thought Cam was being a little too aggressive there. I felt like he thought he was going to have an internet win moment. But I've been seeing more videos scold Cam Newton over all of this than scolding Whitlock for saying, you know, the juicy cans comment. Because, you know, again, it was inappropriate, but the more I'm watching Whitlock throughout all this stuff, I'm starting to understand his shtick, and I'm getting good laughs out of all of this stuff. So yeah, Cam, I felt like he jumped the gun on that. You know, it was one of those moments where he thought he did something, you know, as a bullying tactic, and he thought everybody behind him was going to be cheering him on. But after it happened, most people was looking like, damn, bro, why are you jumping out the window for somebody you barely even know? But what are your thoughts, man, on Cam Newton calling out Jason Whitlock, saying that he's not that guy?
Yeah, the internet was right to scold Cam Newton because he's in the wrong here. Yeah, I'm indifferent towards Whitlock. I'm not a fan of his, nor do I dislike him. He's around to me. You know, I remember him from his old days on ESPN. He used to be on PTI. So I remember Whitlock going all the way back then. But once he left ESPN, I didn't really watch him too much. I knew he was on Fox, but I wasn't watching Fox back then. So he's just somebody who I know him as an old school journalist. You know, he's got skin in the game as a journalist, and now he's a content creator, and he does his YouTube show, and he used to be on Fox. I don't really know, well, at least prior to this situation, I didn't really know how he conducted his platform. And I've been watching more of it lately, and I see that he is one of these guys who is, I think he looks at himself as like an avant-garde against some of the stuff that we talk about, honestly. Like he looks at himself as someone who is fighting back against forced matriarchal ideology and you know, trying to uphold traditionalism, the nuclear family, and all of this kind of stuff. I think he's that kind of person, or at least he sees himself that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I actually saw what Whitlock said first, talking about this situation, I was watching Whitlock's episodes. Then I watched Cam say that in response on his show. And I was wondering whether Whitlock was going to respond. And Whitlock did respond. And Whitlock's response is exactly the same response I would have had.
Mm-hmm.
See, first of all, Cam Newton has 8 children and 3 different baby mamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's well known, well documented. 8 kids, 3 different baby mamas. If you've listened to how he talks about women and his relationships on his own platform, some of the stuff that he's talked about, that he's done, doing his thing, living his life, in and out of the strip clubs and doing whatever, right? Cam Newton, to me, is one of these guys who gleans a large part of his self-worth and identity from his sexual conquests. If you watch his interview with Brittany Renner, for example, or watch the interview that he did with the doctor lady, this lady who I don't like, Bryant, I forget her first name.
Cheyenne.
There you go, Cheyenne Bryant. There you go. If you look at him and the way he talks about women and relationships and family in these various contexts, and you kind of put 2 and 2 together, the 8 kids, the 3 different baby mamas, and what he out here doing in the streets, he's a guy who's like these other. We knew these. Like, I know guys like him. I knew guys like him in high school. I knew guys like him in college. They woke up thinking about vagina every day. Their life was based on what piece of vagina they were going to get today. They lived and breathed it. They were motivated singularly by the pursuit of vagina. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to call Cam Newton a slave to vagina, but based upon his public rhetoric, it seems as though pursuing vagina is a big part of his existence. Now, listen, I like women and sex just as much as the next guy, but there is a difference between sequestering women and sex and compartmentalizing it in the way that you can still be a productive, fully fledged man who's not going to be compromised by women and vagina. Versus being the kind of guy who will compromise any and everything if it means you can get sex or vagina.
Mm-hmm.
And based on some of the things that I have heard Cam Newton say since he's become a podcaster, and just based on the public things that are known about his personal life, he seems to me to be the kind of guy who would say something like, "You're not that guy." And what he's saying is, you don't get no hoes, so you can't talk like that.
Yeah, I'm that guy. You're not that guy.
Exactly. Right. Cam Newton is the kind of guy who's like, you ain't got no hoes. So what you mean? and look, I don't talk like that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you do.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Conscious Approach community, that is a word that I only use when appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't merely use it. I don't merely use it as a stand-in or a synonym for women. I only use it when appropriate. I am only speaking that way because I would imagine that that's how guys like Cam Newton talk.
I hear that.
So Jason Whitlock is completely well within his right to respond in that manner. It's the same way that I would have responded, which is the reason why I can talk like this, Cam Newton, is because I'm not that guy. Me not being that guy is the reason why I can maintain these opinions. You being that guy is the reason why you can't talk like this. Because you're the kind of guy, Cam Newton, who will allow the cute intern to get, you will give the cute intern at your production company a high-ranking, prestigious position because she was willing to let you smash. You're that guy, Cam. And you're the problem with most men today, the modern man. You will compromise anything and give up all of your leverage in pursuit of women and vagina. And Jason Whitlock represents the antithesis of this, and he's calling it out. And Whitlock, and I don't like I said, I don't care about Whitlock per se, but in this instance, I'm with him on this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like I'm going to call out all of you sucker dudes who are slaves to vagina and are willing to give up your positions of power and leverage just because a woman is willing to let you smash for it. He's one of those guys, based on what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So Whitlock has every right to call that out because those guys are a part of the problem, not the solution.
Right.
Not the Cam, you're not that guy, bro. You're not a part of the solution. So he can have all of that, speaking of Cam, he can talk all of that stuff if he wants to, because what he doesn't realize is he's the kind of guy who needs to be listening to people like Whitlock when it comes to stuff like this. Maybe not everything, but when it comes to this particular conversation, Whitlock has a point, because I would have responded in the same way. All you dudes out here who think that you are running the game because of your body count and because of all of the chicks that you let smashed, you don't even realize that you are ceding so much of that power that you have in lieu of those women getting their way because they let you have sex with them. And you think that puts you in an advantageous position because you did that. Really, it puts you in a disadvantageous position. Because these women see you for what you are, which is a walking penis, and they know that they can get away with whatever they want so long as they offer up enough box, and you'll take it because you have no self-respect for yourself. So I hear everything Whitlock is saying in this regard, regardless of whether these allegations against Joy Taylor are true or not. On the surface, with this particular conversation, Whitlock had every right in the world to respond in the way that he did.
Yeah, I agree, man. So, Cam, he's been really going on a campaign lately to, because I really was neutral to him, just a fan of him playing football, neutral to him as a person while he had a helmet on. And then, now that he's out here doing post career Cam Newton, he's been moving a little funny. Man. He had a little moment during the football season where he called out Shador and them about something, dunking on Shador and, his podcast. Then, like a week later, not even, at the game, trying to dap him up. And Shador was like, "Nah, bro." I'm like, "I'm not dapping you up, bro." Like, you said, I saw what you said, bro. That wasn't cool, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then Cam was like, "What do you mean, man?" And then Shador was like, "Nah, man, that's weird, bro. That's weird." And yeah, man, because when I saw him do that, I was like, "Damn, Cam, I thought you were solid, bro. What is this?" And and with this Whitlock thing, it was too much, and it's in that lane of, yeah, bro, you acting weird. So I don't know what kind of time Cam is on. I've defended him a number of times on this platform, especially when that thick ass doctor was talking to him. Yeah, man. But as of late, man, Cam has really been showing his true colors. And yeah, man, he really thinks he's that dude, apparently. So whatever the hell that means, man. So yeah, man, it's not often I'm gonna be sitting around here taking up for Whitlock, but in this case, yeah, man, I think Whitlock had the right position on the board, and I think Cam was the one overreaching here. So yeah, whether those allegations are true or not, all of this stuff is what it's really. All these allegations that are coming out now, guys. All right. Y'all need to keep stuff above board, especially at work. And hey, man, I don't think you can have a work wife no more. The way this stuff's going. All right. So if you got like, what I'm saying, an old lady at work that you be flirting and playing around with, I don't know if that's cool anymore. Who knows what's going on nowadays, man. So y'all be safe out there. It was before. I guess it was the initial Me Too stuff or whatever, but it was just really as of late, man. I think it was when I started working in corporate offices. Because when I worked at Walmart, anything went. I didn't give a damn. But when I started working in a corporate space, it just didn't feel right to have the same type of friendships that I had when I was at Walmart and Target and stuff like that. Like it didn't feel clean. It felt like I can get reported at any moment. So yeah, man, every conversation I had was above board, like HR can get involved. If there was a message written in Slack, it was like, if this can get screenshotted and sent to HR. So I'm not saying nothing crazy. You ain't gonna get me saying nothing crazy. I ain't do nothing crazy. And because you never know, And so I would just tell you, people out there nowadays, man, just be careful where you're at, what you're doing. And there's a time and a place, man. And right now, it doesn't look like the workplace is the place to have fun. Because, Acho in this situation, hey, man, he was just hitting the girl at work, man. What's the big deal? You know what I'm saying? I guess power dynamics can get in play, but he's no exec. He's just a host. So he made a regular play that anybody else would have in that situation, if that's true. But now his name's getting dragged in the mud, all because he had a piece of that big rack. So, hey man, it is what it is, y'all. So y'all be safe out there and don't use words like big rack in the corporate office. So yeah, man, be safe.
Yeah, Cam can miss me with this. Just the last thing that I'm gonna speak on with Cam. Cam is trying to become like a big shot in the media game. He's on First Take now once a week. I'll be seeing him every Friday. They got Cam Newton on First Take. So Cam Newton is trying to become Mr. Corporate Podcaster Media Guy. And when you do the corporate podcaster media guy thing, you're going to have to play by the corporate podcaster media guy rules. And when you have to play by the corporate podcaster media guy rules, you're going to be parroting a lot of speech. And I've been noticing with Cam a lot lately, he's doing a lot of Stephen A. Smithing, where women can do no wrong. Women are always victims. Women aren't being held accountable when they do wrong things, because if you do, you must hate women. So he's doing a lot of this subtly on ESPN. And he's bringing that onto his own platforms because you want to be marketable, I guess, at all times. But he's starting to parrot a lot of this weirdo new human speech of all women all the time. Women are better, smarter. And listen, I'm not trying to single out women to suggest that they aren't all those things, but it isn't universal across the board. But he's parroting a lot of this speech where it's women empowerment and women are better and smarter and faster and stronger. And women, if she did it, it must have been because she was a bit being victimized in some kind of way. Like a woman can't be responsible or accountable for any wrongdoing in any situation that makes her look bad. It must be because something was being done to her to make her do that. And that's not to say that isn't the case, but to leap to that conclusion by default is a type of speech and rhetoric that is happening throughout mainstream media more and more nowadays. And I'm starting to see him become a part of that when it comes to sports. So I've been monitoring that a lot with Cam. So to hear him talk like this, to me, is no shock. But he definitely strikes me as the kind of guy. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys, man. He's one of those guys where he's probably, if he ain't talking about football, he probably talking about women. And if he ain't talking about women, then he probably talking about football. But women and the conquest of women and it's really sexual conquests, because it's not a conquest of the mind. It's just how many women can he sleep with is probably a large part of his identity. And Whitlock is speaking to why that is a problem, and he had every right to do that.
Yeah, 100, man. And yeah, man, I never thought I'd see the day when Cam became corporate sellout Cam, but he is definitely on his way. Because I've been noticing that too. I haven't seen him on. I heard he was on ESPN. Haven't seen it, but I knew he was dabbling in those waters. And you're right, bro. He has definitely adopted some of that Stephen A. rhetorics. So Yeah, man. Didn't think I'll see the day, man. But hey, what can you do, bro?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody need to check, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because Lord knows if he says that's the woman's fault, she shouldn't have did that. That's on her. He will get removed. So he playing the game. It's just disappointing to see him play the game.
Yep.
Shouts out to Whitlock this time.
Yeah, this time, bro. This time.
Speaking of these new human dudes, we're going to talk about DJ Akademiks, bro. I also saw this before you brought it to my attention, so I was aware that this was taking place. And wow, what a sucker. Drake, friend of this channel as well.
Yeah.
He put out a freestyle, and it's being alleged that some of the lyrics are referencing or talking about LeBron. Because Drake is upset that LeBron is dancing to Not Like Us by Kendrick. Just the dumbest, pettiest, most ridiculous BS. But that's what you got. That's what you deal with when you deal with humans like Drake.
You're right.
Drake is apparently upset. So he's dropping alleged diss bars aimed towards LeBron. And DJ Akademiks, being the number one cheerleader for Drake, is all on his channel airing out dirty laundry, exposing LeBron for allegedly going left and wayward on his wife and doing it with Drake. And he's saying that, LeBron can't be dancing to Not Like Us by Kendrick because, Drake had LeBron up in Toronto dilly-dallying with some women who aren't LeBron's wife. And Wack 100 is like, hey, bro, that's foul. Like, why are you airing out this guy's personal business publicly? First of all, we don't even know that these things are true or not. And even if they are, how unbecoming of it is for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that. I gotta bring the link up real quick on my tab. So yeah, man, this is just Akademiks being Akademiks, I guess, if you want to call it that. But Wack 100 isn't a fan of it. Wack 100 is checking DJ Akademiks over doing this publicly. So this says Wack 100 checks DJ Akademiks over his LeBron James allegations. Wack 100 called into one of DJ Akademiks' latest live streams to discuss his allegations about LeBron James. In doing so, he came to the Los Angeles Lakers star's defense after Ak accused him of being unfaithful in his marriage. Ak, I swear to God, if me and you ever got into it and I knew you were over here doing this and doing that, that ain't coming out my mouth. I'm not going to go over there. Ak was effing with this B word. That's some whole stuff. Any man is going to agree with that, Wack told Akademiks. From there, Wack remarked that Kendrick Lamar has Drake crashing out. Akademiks made the allegations about LeBron being unfaithful in his marriage earlier this month while breaking down Drake's Fighting Irish freestyle. Maybe Drake will keep teasing it. Let me just tell you what I've heard. LeBron, you and Drake used to go on two-mans, okay? You've been cheating on your wife. Drake used to facilitate the girls, and essentially, you can't dance to a song about him being a pedophile. He used to supply you with the chicks, Ak said. He also previously called into the Adam and Wack show to discuss the claim, which led to Wack casting doubt on the story. LeBron has never cheated on his wife. That is a lie, he began. If Drake is the one hooking LeBron up, then where is the female he cheated with? Wack said at the time. Check out Wack 100 and DJ Akademiks' latest back and forth below. So let me back out of this because we do have a little video to sort of surmise what we got going on here. So here is Wack. He is Wack. But here is DJ Akademiks doing his usual DJ Akademiks stuff. Essentially airing out dirty LeBron laundry on behalf of Drake. It's ridiculous.
People, maybe Drake will keep teasing it. Let me just tell you what I've heard. Yo, LeBron, you and Drake used to go on two-mans, okay? You've been cheating on your goddamn wife. Drake used to facilitate the host, and basically, essentially, you can't dance to a song about him being a pedophile. He used to supply you with the bitches. I'm sorry, my nigga. Yes, if I'm Drake, I snitch on you too. Sorry, buddy. You can't do that. No. You've been living a lie, and everybody been thinking you're this perfect guy. But when you come to Canada, I know some of the whores. When you come to Canada, you know you come to certain places. I'm supplying you with the white women you love. You don't even like black chicks. White women. I supply. So when I bring things, and I'm hooking you up, when Kendrick drops a song saying certified lover boy, certified pedo, you're the first one to say, whoa, me and Drake done did some two mans. He ain't never bring no underage girl. What the fuck is you talking about? Or how about you shut the fuck up and don't dance, don't crip, nothing.
I know, right?
Yo, what's
That's why
up?
you in trouble, LeBron.
He literally said at the end, "I'm sorry, but I'm snitching." He literally said that. I don't know what world I live in anymore, bro.
Man,
Go ahead. What do you think about this?
you know, we must be in 2025 when I'm defending Jason Whitlock and Wack 100 back to back. What is going on? Yeah, man. You know, Wack 100, bro. You know, I've got my reservations with this man as well. I don't know what his deal is. But in this situation, man, you know, I did applaud him for checking him about this. And you know, if anybody watched this channel, you know, everybody knows how I feel about LeBron. You know, when it comes to all this stuff. But this situation here, I don't know. It was just this ain't it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. When Akademiks was going live, because he was going live for a while with this. You know, I was seeing you know, videos talking about it, you know, as it happened. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, and I click on a video, and you know, Akademiks in his classic drunken tirade. Yeah, and just super overly charged to, you know, I don't even want to call these allegations, bro. Just spread rumors that him and Drake was going on two mans. Now, my thing is, bro, listen, bro. Hey, teach their own, man. If y'all out there and y'all do two mans or three mans, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro. Hey, live your life, bro. I ain't trying to judge you, whatever, bro. But you know, that's not something to be going around saying. So you know what I'm saying? Like, and then with all this mess, I didn't even know this. That Drake has LeBron tattooed on his chest.
What?
And
I didn't know that.
bro, Google that while I'm talking.
Okay, I will.
But yeah, Drake has LeBron tatted on his chest. Now, I don't know if it's him, his name, or logo, but he has something dedicated to LeBron tattooed on him, which again sounds like they was doing two mans. So honestly, if people want to look into the situation where it's like, you know what I'm saying, Drake was, you know, being, you know, overreaching, dissing LeBron publicly, it might be something deeper than rap with those two, because when I saw those two running in circles, man, you know, it was just like, of course LeBron is friends with Drake, and of course Drake is friends with LeBron. Those guys are one and the same, you know. Drake is the LeBron of the rap game.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So it was, you know, one and the same with those guys. So I wasn't surprised by that. So, but for Drake to go scorch earth like this, and throw him out there with the subs, and then send Akademiks out on this dummy mission, you know, it seems to be personal with Drake. Yeah, man, I didn't care for it. I thought it was lame. But you know, coming from Akademiks, what do you expect? So I wasn't disappointed that the Akademiks did this. I just thought it was just in line with his lameness. And I really didn't want it to grow wings like that. I didn't really care for it. So for Wack 100 to step in and, you know what I'm saying, try to rectify the situation or just try to restore some order for the chatty patties that was running around here that was happy that LeBron was cheating. But it's like newsflash, man. Who doesn't know LeBron was out here doing his thing anyway? So you're not really breaking any news with this stuff. So I think it was just a messy situation. Akademiks looking for clout amongst other things, which he doesn't really need. So this is just a strange all-around situation. Well, what are your thoughts, man, on LeBron James going on two mans with Drake?
Yeah, I'm with Wack 100 as well. There has to be. Oh man, this is a frustrating conversation for me.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me because one of the more frustrating things for me is addressing things that appear to not have a solution. Mm-hmm. Like as a pragmatist, I always try to analyze things from the standpoint of being solution oriented. Okay, it's one thing to be able to identify the problem, but how do you identify? But what's the solution? What can we do to fix it? Right. Mm-hmm. And one of the most frustrating things for me in life is whenever I encounter a problem that seemingly has no solution. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of the conversation that we had about. We talked about DEI in this video, but we also discussed DEI in separate streams, and we also, I brought this up when discussing Chris Brown and the organization that didn't want him to perform in South Africa. And so, the thing that I was trying to get across was, how do you address people not caring about something? Mm-hmm. Like that's something that doesn't have a solution. Like, yeah, we understand that, domestic disputes are problematic. Race issues are problematic. Racial inequality is problematic. But how do you address these various inequities in a practical way, so as to help to kind of, provide solutions for them so that we can see them kind of go away a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's frustrating about those conversations is, how do you address people not caring, right? It's an existential problem. How do you make someone care, right? I've encountered that. And what's frustrating about that is you can't make someone care. You can't legislate desire. You can't legislate what's in somebody's heart. So you can't make someone care about something that you care about, or you can't make someone care about something that they otherwise don't care about. Mm-hmm. The reason why I bring that up, that's a long-winded way for me to bring it back to this particular conversation. I don't know what the solution is for this kind of behavior. What do you do? Like, I don't know what you do. I don't know how you can sort of perform. Like, how can we perform Inception to anyone who's seen that movie? How can we perform an Inception to convince men that it's their own idea that they need to live by a code? How can you do that? Because clearly I can't say, hey, you guys need to start living by a code. It falls on deaf ears. Like, these guys don't understand what that means. So how can I create an environment in which they can understand that they ought to live by a code? And by living by a code, as a grown man, you should not talk like this publicly about another man. But talking like that is an exercise in futility, because it's a larger behavioral observation. How can I make people understand that living by such a code is something that's important? I don't know the solution to that, and I can't make people care. Mm-hmm. And guys no longer live by a code. And this is evidence of that. Why are you talking like this? Gender neutrality really is a thing now. I know the hyper liberals have been pushing it. They have been trying to create this society which stipulates that men and women are the same. They have been trying now for a while to force this onto everybody. Men and women are the same. We think the same, do the same things. Therefore, we should live and operate by the same social norms and customs. And I think they've officially succeeded, because for the longest time, it was believed that women, the fairer sex, the more feminine variety amongst us, were the ones who engaged in petty gossip publicly and who like to chit chat about what another person did behind closed doors. Well, now we're all operating by the same rules, and men do it too. We chat and cat, and we opine on another man's personal business as if it's fashionable and fun to do, when really it is the most unfashionable, non-fun thing that a man can possibly do. But if you're a guy who doesn't operate by any particular code or moral or decorum, you wouldn't know that. And Akademiks is a part of this new generation of thought. I can't make him understand why what he did was lame. To him, it's an afterthought. Like, it doesn't even, the idea that such a thing is unbecoming of a man doesn't even compute.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of his brain that's atrophied. It doesn't even register. And it's frustrating to me as a pragmatist, because I don't know any practical way to make people like him understand that this is something that men shouldn't be doing. But look at who he follows. Drake, the kind of guy who would definitely do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Drake, henchman.
I mean, Drake allegedly made a whole track about this.
Yeah.
Like, who does that, bro?
Yeah, without mentioning the name, So, I mean, this to me is bigger than Akademiks and Drake. Shouts out to Wack 100 for calling him out, because he's right. But Wack 100 is an older guy who grew up in a world where men operated by a code. Mm-hmm. And just didn't do stuff like this. Wack 100 is also a part of the generation that is, hey, if you get caught, you do the time, you don't snitch. Mm-hmm. And this kid, Akademiks, literally used the word snitch to describe everything that he was doing on that stream.
And was proud of it.
He was happy about it. Like, he was doing the world a service. So this guy is a complete and utter clown of a human being, mm-hmm. But he represents an archetype for today's man, unfortunately. Guys who are soulless, they are soulless, principle devoid, slaves to vagina, who will do any and everything they can to get vagina, even if it means compromising on those principles, even if compromising on those principles means snitching on, telling on, gossiping about another man's personal business, even if that other man is LeBron, a guy who I am the last person to defend, much like yourself.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, as much as I might have my issues with LeBron and the way that he has conducted his career and the goofiness that he portrays on occasion from time to time, I would never do something like this.
Agreed.
That's his business to sort out. And you're doing this on a stream to get your internet clout. It's sad. It really is.
Like, honestly, even if I had somehow magically, the receipt of all receipts that LeBron does this, I wouldn't, who would I tell? Yeah, I guess I'll tell the people next to me and stuff, like, oh, snap, like somehow I stumbled on this receipt, but I wouldn't run to the internet with it. That's one of those things that's like, hey man, let them handle that. I'm not into that business. So yeah, that's a little off to me, man, but you're right, man. He represents that spongy, soy infused.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 2 to 3 man kind of personality.
Well, he definitely does 2 man.
At least. Minimum. Minimum 2 man. Yes. So that's his mentality, bro. So I expect nothing different from him as well. Definitely wasn't surprised. And like I said, I wasn't disappointed or anything, because I don't expect anything else but from this man. He's displayed just capital glazing tactics with Drake. I mean, it is beyond the pale what this man does. So I hope the checks are good, Akademiks, because you look crazy. So I don't know if he's cutting you money or if you're just doing this off the love of the game. But and either way, man, you don't expect nothing else from Akademiks. So yeah, Wack 100, man, it's not going to be often. All right, I'm going to be agreeing with you, bro. So just take this victory lap, and enjoy it, bro. Because most likely next time you're on here, I'm going to be scolding you. So enjoy your victory lap.
I can't stand this. I cannot stand this. And Akademiks is and here's the thing. And this is just one side comment that I'm going to make. Whenever you get these women, because I'm gonna take it there real quick. But you see these women on these podcasts and on these shows and these platforms, and they calling men out for being, bitches. Talking about men and how weak they are and their non-man-like tendencies. Well, these women are dating guys like Akademiks.
Now they don't look like him, but they like him.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that wasn't to say that they look like him. They have his personality traits.
100%.
Yeah, and that's that. These guys are out here in the market, and the women are going with them, and they're looking like this. Don't seem right. Like, what is this? Are all y'all like this, ladies? No, we're not.
Exactly.
We're not. But y'all need to figure out how to tell the difference. And right now, y'all can't tell the difference, which is why you're dealing with this. But I just wanted to say that real quick because he is a part of the problem for real. He really is. It's disgusting.
Agreed.
It's disgusting, man. Drake got Akademiks on retainer the way Skip Bayless was trying to get.
And it ain't even for 1.5 either. Akademiks, you going out bad, bro. That's crazy.
I can't with these dudes, man. I really can't. I can't with these dudes. Yeah, I hope the money's worth it, man. Shouts out to Wack 100.
That was a good one.
All right, and to close things out,
damn.
To close things out, we have another crazy discussion here involving an adult film actress who goes by the name Bonnie Blue. That's her name, right? Bonnie Blue. For all of y'all sex crazy animals out there, all of you deviants out there who engage with this content. We have a woman who goes by the name of Bonnie Blue, and she's kind of viral at the moment because she's bragging that she broke the world record by sleeping with over 1,000 men in a 12-hour period. And so she's, patting herself on the back for this, and she is looking for the world to do the same and sort of credit her for achieving this monumentous feat in human history. So this says, adult film star Bonnie Blue claims world record after sleeping with over 1,000 men in 12 hours. Adult film star Bonnie Blue is someone who has been attempting to go viral for weeks now. Overall, she and Lily Phillips have become infamous for their sex marathons. For instance, Phillips initially went viral after she had sex with 100 men in a 24-hour time frame. Subsequently, Phillips has been trying to expand that total to 1,000. However, it appears as though Bonnie Blue has already beaten her to the punch, or at least so she claims. In a new post on social media, Bonnie Blue alleges to have slept with 1,057 men in just 12 hours. She describes the ordeal as literally just be like a rotating circle. However, there is currently no concrete proof of the encounters and whether or not that many men were actually counted. It is truly unfathomable to think that this is real and that someone would legitimately try to put themselves through all of this. Consequently, there is a lot of skepticism online as it pertains to this quote-unquote record. The adult film industry is one that is truly exploitative, although with OnlyFans, a lot of creators have been able to take the power back, if you want to call it that. It seems as though Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips are among those who have figured out how to break through the algorithm and get people interested through morbid curiosity. That said, one can only imagine the psychological consequences of putting yourself through these challenges. However, in the age of internet clout, anything goes, we suppose. So here is this woman, Bonnie Blue, talking about this monumentous escapade that she was able to achieve.
The big 1000 was completely done. So it started off, I'll give you a bit of an overview. After to start with, it was just like the room was absolutely full. Then we did groups of 5, like one after the other of 5s. I wanted to give people more time, so then it went down to like one-on-ones, didn't it? So like one person would watch whilst I was with somebody, and then it would literally just be like a rotating circle like that.
Yeah, groups of 5 and then one-on-one or whatever the hell she just said.
Christ.
Yeah, so she's speaking on this as if it was like some kind of a groundbreaking research study that was successfully completed, and now there's a new published, piece of journalistic work out there that she can, put her name behind. What are your thoughts on Bonnie Blue claiming to have done this? 1,057 men in 12 hours.
I think the evolution of thought is growing. Because there was this other lady, like the article mentioned, that Lily Phillips girl, who was just, because she said having sex with those 100 guys broke her, but then she wanted to run around talking about something she wanted to do 1,000. And so this girl here, looking like she's chasing clout, saying that she already did it. And the article sounded a little skeptical, and so do I. She doesn't look like she's been through that kind of trauma. She just doesn't look. She doesn't look like it. She's a little too happy about it. But at the same time, man, this is where I'm getting at with the evolution of thought is. I didn't think they would try to up the ante. I didn't think I'd see the day when they're just going to go full bore in the other direction and just say, you know what? Now I'm going to try to max out on, how many people I can have sex with in a 12 or 24-hour span. And I think what this is dangerous stuff for the impressionables out there. And I was making jokes about Akademiks and his group sex stuff, but hey man, we're getting closer and closer to full out debauchery.
That's right.
Yeah, man, this is too much. And for somebody that really indulged in adult content when I was a younger person, yeah, man, I wanted to see no end at that time. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But, the older I got, the more disgusting it became to me. Now, granted, I understand, but I'm looking at this as a situation of, hey, this ain't right. It's just something wrong about this here. And I didn't think I'd see the day when, there would be a woman like clearly sitting there bragging. Now we got 2 of them sitting here bragging about how many guys they had sex with in a 24-hour span. A quick story, and I'll let you go. When I was in college, I was messing with this girl or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was an experience, I guess. But she told me that hey man, because she wanted to brag about me to her friend. So I was like, okay, man, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm that guy. So yeah, I'm saying, brag on. You know what I'm saying? Brag on. And but then she said, she was like, oh yeah, because it was her freshman year. You know what I'm saying? It was my freshman year, so it was both freshmen or whatever. But she was basically saying that yeah, I was like the third dude or the fourth in like I don't know how many weeks or whatever. Like they was trying to have a race to see how many partners they can have over the summer. And she was sitting there just telling me this, like I thought I climbed the mountain, I thought I did something or whatever, but I didn't do anything. I was messing around with a street woman, basically, in a college dorm. So, needless to say, I felt disgusted at the time. I felt like a whore, or a 304, excuse me. And yeah, I didn't feel right after that, man. I felt used. And so, yeah, I didn't like that. And I try to avoid situations like that going forward. And for a woman to sit there and brag, this woman here or the next, to sit there and brag that they've just been used as a whole for 12 hours or 24 hours straight, and not feel anything about it, and then to come on the internet and then brag about it so others can catch this same type of thought is concerning to me. And I never thought I would see this day when people cross that threshold of dignity to just full out, I have nothing. And I'm telling you right now, I brought up that initial story to go, wow, I didn't think people would actually do that. And then now it's to the point where there's internet challenges. And now there's going to be girls out there just trying to give it up for their own personal records. And I don't think that that's clean. I don't think that that's cool. But we're here, man. And when I was younger, dude, yeah, I was like, man, why is it so hard to get sex out here, man? Like, why I gotta do all, like, why I gotta court people, She think I'm cool, I think she's cool, let's just do this. That's why I was really saying that. But nowadays with hookup culture, that's basically what things turned into. And that lifestyle that I asked for as a young person, I clearly see why there was rules and things and in the way, because once you live like that, there's, I don't know, man, it's something about it that's just really not clean. So yeah, man, I'm against hookup culture, as crazy as that sounds. I'm against this OF stuff. And yeah, and I think that people got to really wake up, man, because this along with the other stuff that we talked about earlier with the automation and other things, this is really moving towards human extinction. Yeah, we're talking about reproduction, but when we got reproductive rights going on out there, we're really talking about people not being able to, it's too much going on at once, way too much stimulation. But what are your thoughts, man, on this OnlyFans girl allegedly saying that she had premaritals with over 1,000 men? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, this is the perfect example of what I mean whenever I talk about social deconstruction. This is everything in full display. When you use the word dignity, you said you never thought you'd see a world where, people's dignity reached such a low point to where it was almost non-existent. Mm-hmm. But what I would respond to you by saying is the sleight of hand aspect of the social deconstruction that is currently taking place is the redefinition of dignity. So it's not that such a thing like this is devoid of dignity. It's redefining what dignity means so that doing this means she has dignity. So like previously, women and, women's agency and they can do whatever they want, and feminist rhetoric and all that kind of stuff used to kind of mean that like certain things still had a limit to it, but that once that limit was reached and we sort of recognized that line of demarcation, there was still some judgment to be had as a result of that. But what we're seeing now is we're trying to completely socially deconstruct it. So it isn't that having 1,000 bodies in 24 hours is lacking in dignity, but I don't care because who needs dignity? I don't care about having dignity. It's literally, I have 1,000 bodies in a 12-hour span. I'm dignified. That is dignity. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that's
we're redefining what is dignity as if it required redefining in the first place when it never did. Dignity has a clearly defined meaning.
Yeah, I would think so.
But despite it having a clearly defined meaning, we are nevertheless trying to deconstruct it to create a new meaning anyway. A new meaning which stipulates that I can have 1,000 bodies in 12 hours, but still be dignified. And that's what this is all about. When the specter of shame is non-existent, you will do whatever you want because who cares? I don't have to worry about people calling me out for not having shame. Because what is and is not shame. It's like we're just trying to meticulously do away with a lot of these forms of speech, which we have always used to categorize certain things. We just kind of want to eliminate all of it. So like what is and is not shame? What is and is not normal? What is and is not weird? There really is no such thing. We simply just are. So I can be whoever I want, do whatever I want, be whatever sex or gender I want. I can do whatever I want because there really is no clearly defined meaning for anything. My meaning is whatever I want it to be. I'm going to define that for myself. It doesn't matter whether these words had general meanings previously. I don't acknowledge those. I only acknowledge what I believe that to be for myself. So if I say I still have dignity because I have 1,000 bodies in 12 hours, who are you to take that away from me? Because there is no such thing as having or not having dignity. I simply am. And that's what we have going on now. So you can call that out for lacking in dignity, but she's looking at that saying, well, what do you mean by dignity? What does that even mean? We're trying to just do away with this stuff for no reason because we really want to live in a world of social. I say these things, but I'm serious when I say it because I mean it. People want to live in a world of social anarchy. I mentioned this last week talking about Jimmy Butler. It's a growing segment of our population. More and more people are looking at the existence of any sort of rule, any sort of process, any sort of standard. The presence of it by default means you're caging me in. You're boxing me in. I can't live. I can't do nothing because you have a rule that I have to follow. Where we used to look at these things reasonably, okay? Like there are reasonable rules that we all should follow because these things are reasonable. And then there are certain rules that might be a bit unreasonable. Okay, we all recognize what that is. So let's talk about the rules that are a bit unreasonable. Now, what a lot of us are saying is everything, if it's remotely even a rule that's trying to dictate what I should and should not be doing at any given moment, even if it makes sense, you're caging me in. It's a prison. I don't like it. Stop boxing me in with all your rules. Yeah, I can have 1,000 bodies in a day because why not? People just want to live in a world of social anarchy.
Yeah, man. No.
Where there's no scarlet letter, there's no judgment, there's no discerning way to kind of look at anything. Everything is just a free-for-all. And she's a byproduct of that. DJ Akademiks running around snitching proudly. She talking about how she got 1,000 bodies in 12 hours, and she speaks on it, like I said, as if she was conducting some kind of a collegiate. She was talking about that process the same way that I used to present my research term papers in college. Like she probably got a bibliography and a cover page.
She definitely got a cover page.
So like this is what we got. This is what we got going on, man. This is all modern day social deconstruction in the West. That's what it is, man. It's, I want to do whatever I want whenever I want. And for you to tell me that I can't do that is to expose you for being fill in the blank. That's when the isms show up. You're being racist because you're trying to tell me what to do. You're being sexist because you're trying to tell me what to do. You're being bigoted because you're trying to tell me what to do. Oh, you don't think that I should be able to have 1,000 bodies in 24 hours? Are you sexist? Do you hate women? That's what we got going on right now. That's what this is. I hate women because I'm saying that that's disgusting. Because the standard is they can do whatever they want. Because people should be able to do whatever they want. So good luck with this, man. I'll say what you have said on many occasions here on this channel. Get back to me in 50 years and let me know if you enjoy the world that you live in.
Yeah.
And the thing that I am the most fearful for, and I've also said this before, is I have a 15-year-old nephew. Well, he turns 15 this year. And man, the most profound sadness that I have is that my 15-year-old nephew is going to be dating women like this.
That's what I'm saying.
And there's nothing he can do about it because it's either date them or be a eunuch. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Be a eunuch? Not date? Not be with experienced women? That's not an option. So, despite the values that his two traditional-leaning, morals-having parents instill within him, he is nevertheless going to be out in the world, and he is going to encounter these girls who are, because of their social engineering, looking at the world like this. And my nephew's going to have to share them with 1,000 other bodies that they may have accumulated in the last 12 hours.
It's insane, bro. And to speak on the social anarchy part, what's the real goal there? I mean, outside of their own personal selfishness of wanting to do whatever the hell they want, but do they really extrapolate that to everybody? If everybody was literally doing whatever the hell they want, if there was really no rules at all, did they really think that far? Or is it just, hey man, is it just a narcissism that I just want to do whatever the hell I want to do? Don't give rules to me.
It's the second one. It's the second one. If you let them tell it, they're the only people living on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Each of these individuals don't see other humans. The world has to operate on their time. That's how they see the world.
Because if you let people do whatever the hell they want, you know what I'm saying? If there's no rules at all, do you really know what that looks like? I really wish there was like a Ghost of Christmas Past, really. That could just come in, or Christmas Future. That could just snap his fingers so people could see, you want to live in a world with no rules? You know what I'm saying? So this is how it will look, It's just so they can see, So when I tell you that you got to be here, you know what I'm saying, on this flight at 7 p.m. so we can play the Bobcats or the Hornets or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Be on that flight, Zion. Don't give me no rules. I'll get there when I want to get there. It's like, okay, you want a war with no rules? They just arrested the dude. That was stalking Caitlin Clark. And he drove all the way from Texas all the way to Indianapolis, in pursuit, sending her threatening stuff in his thing or whatever. Let that man have the world that he wants. He can go do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like, oh, well, now you're taking it too far. Am I? Am I taking it too far? Because when you're telling people that they can do whatever the hell they want, you don't see how it hurts other people when you're doing whatever the hell you want.
Right. Yes.
Cause she go, oh, there's no harm here. You know what I'm saying? So if this woman is just have a wiped brain where her just having sex with as many people as she wants, she doesn't see the trauma in it, that doesn't mean if you're recording this and sending this out to the world, you're hurting people with that. And then so there's going to be a ripple effect of hurt that she personally doesn't see, but you're hurting other people with your freedom of choice. And so that these other people out here that's going out here and say, hey man, it ain't hurt nobody. I want to do this. It was like, no. What you actually are doing, what you actually are promoting is hurting other people. It's hurting people in the future. It's hurting people around you. So there's nothing that anybody that they do is just exclusive to just them. Everything has a ripple effect to it. So these people out here that's like, oh, y'all just want to do me, man. I'm not going to let these people just do them. We have to have rules.
Yes.
And just like, I think we were talking about this before, man, when we was talking like, you know what I'm saying? We were talking about the Joe Budden thing and, the whoop-de-whoop, man. You was like, hey, man, if I forgot what you was basically saying, but it was pretty much in the same lane of, hey, man, if these people really want the anarchy that they're asking for, you know what I'm saying? Why not have it like this? And just presenting that other side of the argument, it sounds so ridiculous. And they'll be like, no, that's just crazy. It's like, no, that's literally what you're asking for. So if I'm not supposed to judge this person for doing this, then that means I can't judge that person for doing that. So why should I judge the guy that was stalking Clayton Clark? Oh, no, there's a line there. Where?
Yeah.
That crazy man that has no conscience, who just does whatever, because you don't have to have a conscience to sit here and sleep with this many people in a 12-hour span. And like you said, like, where's my shit? There is none. Well, then you're a sociopath. And so for sociopaths to just do whatever the hell we have to have order. So I agree with you, man. I agree with you. But, them trying to basically, first we went from trying to make everybody into a narcissist. Now we're moving into the realm of making everybody sociopaths.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at with all of this. Because at some point, there's going to be so many rules getting pushed back that basically there really isn't any.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be absolute chaos. So, I choose to live in a world with rules. Did I push back on rules when I was a young person? Absolutely. I mean, who didn't? But, but at the same time, man, I did appreciate structure, and rules do have their place. Sometimes you're a little too young or naive to understand why certain rules there. Some rules do need to go, but for the most part, the institution of having rules is important. So man, I'm with you, man. I'm totally against this social anarchy stuff, man. Catch me, 15, 20 years ago, man, I would have been like, hey, man, teach their own, man. Let her have her 1,000, man. You know what I'm saying? She's all good with me, But now, as I gotten older and I'm seeing the world for what it is and I'm seeing the consequences of actions, stuff like this can't, you can't give it a pass.
You can't.
No.
Yeah, I just think it's being taken too far. Yeah, rebelling against rules has always been a natural aspect of human existence, I would say. But I think we're venturing over into territory where we just want to rebel against everything that it means to be a human. We want to rebel against basic things that help us contribute to society. Like, we're not rebelling against whether you should be able to drive 75 and a 70 anymore.
Right.
Now we're rebelling against the idea of whether I should be able to drive 130 and a 70.
Right.
Like, we're just pushing it way too far.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. I've driven 80, 90 on the road before. It is what it is. But, you got some people out here who want to drive 150, like they're on an Autobahn with other cars on the road. That's the kind of pushing of the envelope that people are trying to look for. People just want to be able to just do whatever they want. And people can't be held responsible for doing whatever they want. Hell, you can't even hold people responsible for living in a world with rules, let alone in a world without one.
I know.
So I just don't understand this stuff. Like, call this situation for what it is. Like, this is whorish behavior. But this is now 2024, 2025. This is just the new way that we are trying to redefine social norms and customs. This is not whorish behavior. This is just what it simply is what people are trying to put out there. And I just vehemently disagree with that. We all recognize what that line is. And once it gets crossed, it is perfectly reasonable to call it out. But people just don't want anything to get called out, not because we want things to be silenced, but because we want to completely reprogram our brains to think about it differently. Yeah, so man. She ain't crossing the line because there is no line.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Insane, bro.
I can't stand this stuff, man. It's ridiculous, bro. Like, it's one thing to say I got my 1,000 bodies in 12 hours and blah, blah, blah. But it's another thing for her to be celebrated for it.
Yeah,
And we're dealing with this new age mentality where this is some kind of quasi form of empowerment because she's getting money doing it or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah, because I'm hating on her because she's getting a bag out of it.
Yeah, like get out of here, bro. This stuff is ridiculous, man. It is.
Oh man.
Well, good luck out there, man. I feel for all of these young guys, bro, because they're gonna have to make a wife out of this bunch for the ones who are so inclined to look for wives. But then again, I can also say good luck to a lot of these women who are dating the other side of the same coin. These feminized soy eating, snitching on, telling on, gossipy weak dudes.
Only playing in 50 games, out of the season as dudes.
Yeah, for real. So I guess maybe y'all deserve one another.
Jeez,
it's crazy. But with that note, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Another Conscious Approach stream in the books, as always. JB as Dogon SS, you know how we like to do over here, man. Much appreciate to the support. Much appreciate to everybody who's been following along with us, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, leaving those comments. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other piece of content. You can follow me on Instagram at JBWins, JBWINS. Conscious Approach is also on Instagram at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on Amazon Podcasts. We are available. So if you're in the gym, you're driving in the car, you are otherwise not in a position to check us out on YouTube, man, pop them headphones in. You can listen to us audio style. We are available there as well as we continue to grow out this community. Yeah, man, as I like to say, closing out every video, man, have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. And if you see the line of demarcation and people are trying to tell you don't recognize rules and order, but you feel like there needs to be rules and order, don't listen to those crazy people, man. You're the righteous one who's doing right by demanding that people have standards in life. So Don't be a group thinker. Think for yourself. Don't listen to these crazies out here. And otherwise, we will catch you next time.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, TikTok, DraftKings, wherever there's a social media platform, Dogon_SS. Come follow your boy, you know what I'm saying? Hit a subscribe, you know what I'm saying? You already know how it is. You know what I'm saying? Greatly appreciate it. And as I say on every pod, guys, all right? Don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it plug. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, my peoples, more rings to Robert Ory. We'll catch y'all in the next episode.
Yeah. That's right, y'all. Go Heat, go Florida State. You know how I like to do. Shouts out Jimmy. Pat, make sure you get a good deal for Jimmy when you trade him, bro. That's all.
Yeah, Jimmy, get the hell out of here. We're done with you and your colored hair. That's not way, bro.
Get a decent enough haul for this guy because it is time for him to go. All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all on the flip side later.
Hey, yeah, man.